We got a hell of a show for you guys today. Bruno Massel Jr., Brian Bossone, Spencer Hyde, Larry Larson, Lyle Barnett, and Corey Stamper as we break down this past weekend's Ronnie Buff Memorial, $75,000 to win. King of the South shootout at Shadyside Dragway. Boys, let's do this thing. Listen, I've never had any problem expressing my opinions, but what we're doing here is bigger than that. These are conversations that need to be had in an unfiltered way. Drag racing's all I've ever done. It's all I care to do. I respect the history, I appreciate how far we've come, but I want more for this sport, and I'll fight for it. It's uncut, it's unfiltered. This is the show of shows. The biggest names in drag racing. No holds barred. This is the great American motorsport, drag racing. Prove me wrong. I'll wait. Hey gang, Wes Buck here, Drag Illustrated Magazine, checking in. It is Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. Hope you're doing well out there. Remember, we've got a hell of a show coming up today. As I mentioned in the cold open, we've got Bruno Massel Jr. and Brian Bossone coming on to talk a little bit about their new projects, POWERtube TV, Pink's All Out, and all the kind of reincarnation of these very fan favorite and popular reality-based TV shows. We're also going to talk to Spencer Hyde about everything that he's got going on as he kind of earns his stripe as an NHRA Funny Car pilot. Then we're going to dive into a sprawling conversation, I imagine, with winner Larry Larson and finalist runner-up Lyle Barnett, along with promoter Corey Stamper, as we talk all things the $75,000 to win King of the South shootout that went down this past weekend. But we've got a goal here. We've got a mission, 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. So join the family, join this movement, click like, click subscribe, make sure you ding the bell so you get notified anytime we crank out a new piece of content. And before we dive into this, undoubtedly a barn burner of a show, let me introduce my co-host here. I'm glad to be back, boys. Mike Carpenter, JT Hudson, what's up?
What's up?
Welcome back. So how'd it go without me? I watched back, but I'm just curious for I missed a show for the first time. You guys typically miss
one less button show,
right? So
one or two a month.
One or two a month is kind of where I put it.
One or two, maybe one or two a year.
Real talk, you know what I mean? So no, I'm just playing. But what was it like? How'd it go?
But good.
It was good, man. It was good. I think we held it down. Me and JT and Kayla.
How much did it help having Donald Long on?
It helped. He gave him plenty of time to get everything in that he wanted for sure. But I mean, now that he's a pro mod guy,
was on one. He could have talked for. I mean, he would have talked for another hour. I bet if you would let him.
He's a pro mod guy now, so he had lots of time.
Right. Yeah.
It can be kind of fun, in my opinion, where you get to really rambling on something. And Mike and I, JT, the same thing. We've had conversations on here that it's like are kind of like continuation of late night hotel conversations or whatever. And it's like, oh, this is fantastic, man. I mean,
or we have our best conversations offline and we're like, we need to get this on the show. So yeah, it was pretty free flowing. JT had some HR violations on his script reads, but luckily we've got some great partners. I think they all stuck with us. We said, we're either going to have some HR work to do, or we're gonna have some sales work to do for all new sponsors next week.
Yeah, all new sponsors coming in.
I missed a call from Mark Beatty the next day or the following day. I missed the call.
It was the next day.
And I'm like, oh man, I hate to return this call, because I was just waiting for it, and then I saw he left a voicemail. I go over to it. I'm like, oh, that was sweet, yeah.
Mark was just giving us a shout out. Mark's one of those dudes you'll just get a phone call from, and he's just like, "Hey, just want to tell you, appreciate what you do. Yep. Appreciate you guys, everything." And that's what the call was. But I got
that really it did make my day.
It did.
Him doing that.
He's good at that.
I like it. Yep.
I enjoy, man. I enjoy dealing. We're so blessed to have like such awesome people that we get to work with. Like all these companies in the space that like are swimming in the same direction as we are, like people that are aspiring to grow and build this community instead of like just milk it for everything it's worth or come in and scrape off what they want. I mean, there are people here that are really committed to elevating the sport of drag racing. And that's one of the things that I'm excited to talk to Bruno and Brian about whenever we get into this Pinks conversation. I think it's going to be fun to just riff on like what was, and is this another example of drag racers kind of chasing the ghost of drag racing past? You know, I think we kind of got to dive into that. What's the recreation? What's the rebrand? What's the new version look like? I'm excited to talk to those guys. I really am. I think Bruno is probably as good of a fit as they could have arrived at to kind of replace the legend Rich Christensen, right?
He's got the build, right? He's got the build. He's just got to shave his head. That's all we got to get him to do.
And I don't know if
you're going to get him to do that.
I don't think you're.
No, man. He's got the beautiful flowing locks, dude. You can't take that away.
Those things aren't going away ever. No chance.
I guess Lyle's called the littlest gangster now, right?
Is that who they're talking about?
It's got to be.
Talking about Wes. I thought they were talking about Wes, actually.
I don't know. I don't
know that I qualify for a little gangster.
Oh, that's kind of funny. Those phone calls going back and forth from the winner's circle or up in the staging lanes when they were done racing was pretty good.
Who is the littlest gangster?
It's got to be Lyle.
Is it?
Yeah, we talking about Lyle. We talking about Lyle Barnett.
Yeah.
Dude, I tell you, man, it's there's so much little gangster racing going on that it's almost hard to keep up with it. I mean, there's another little gangsters event coming up this weekend at Sick on the Green in Bowling Green, the latest event of Tom Bailey and the whole gang at Sick the Magazine. So excited to see. It's crazy because don't you agree that like all these things, they have this explosive moment, and it's like the real test is like being able to see around the corner, being able to see whatever, thing is looming off in the distance that could potentially, derail it, put a little cold water on it. So I'm anxious to see kind of like how this thing plays out. You know what I mean? Because it's funny. We've talked about this so much, and I want to save some of this for later in the show. And we've got Corey on here. But there is like that, what's the limit? You know what I mean? I think the coolest part about the 530 index is just that it speaks to so many different cars, right? I mean, that's like the magic of this thing, is that it doesn't take a super exotic car or a very specific car. It doesn't take a small tire car. It doesn't take a stock frame rail car, whatever. You can kind of get in where you fit in. If your car is too fast, you slow it down, or vice versa. So anyways, a really interesting thing that I'm anxious to kind of see what the future holds for the hottest thing going in small tire racing right now.
Yeah, but it's about pairing that with personalities in promotion and all. You got to have those names that are taking notice of it, participating in it, like Lyle, of course, Jimmy Dale and Poland and Mike and Barrett Green, all these guys that are contributing to that. You have to you can't just be about the cars, right? I mean, guys could run that index,
that class wouldn't be what it is without those guys. I mean, like they make that,
100%, man. And it goes again to my point, and I know that you guys probably get tired of me hearing this, but there's got to be someone out front. There has to be.
Like, right. We get tired of that.
And it's like every time we bring up like the next hot thing in drag racing or the next thing that's really popping off, they all have one thing in common, that there is a cheerleader, a front man of the band, if you will, that is out front driving the bus, creating the buzz, rounding up the troops, getting people fired up, right, wrong, or indifferent. And that's what I see in Jimmy Dale and Michael Poland, in that whole camp, honestly. Barrett Green, everybody that's kind of involved in this deal, they are shouting from the rooftops every single day of the week about these events and about what they've got going on. And it's infectious. I mean, you want to be involved with that. When you see guys slowing their cars down, buying parts to speed up to be able to participate in that class. I mean, it's making buying decisions in the drag racing industry right now. And I think that it all points back to some sort of charismatic leader that is waving the waving the flag out front.
Waving the white flag eventually.
God, stop.
Well, and that, to the other point, how long does it last, or how do you sustain the explosive growth? I think you kind of got to know that these things have an arc. They have a life cycle, and you got to get it while the getting's good. Like, don't be afraid. Don't try to string it out. Don't try to make it last forever, because you just don't know how long it's going to last or how short it's going to be. So just get it while the getting's good. And I think that's what these guys are doing.
Absolutely. I mean, and that is one of the things. I was having this conversation with Brett Kepner the other night, talking about Pro Modified and like why I believe so strongly in it is because while we've seen it have those arcs and those hills and valleys and whatnot, it's really stayed consistently strong since its inception. And there are few classes in drag racing that can make that kind of statement, right? I mean, most of this stuff wanes at some point, sometimes sooner rather than later. But I think
what would you say is the reason for that? I mean, if you had to pinpoint a single reason why Pro Mod has been able to do that, has it escaped, for the most part, the fate of a lot of these other classes?
I think places to race. I think a lot of times when you see a category go away, they're limited with venues, right? Like if you think back to NHRA Pro Stock Truck and that whole debacle, I mean, I think it could be argued. I mean, if those guys had another home anywhere else they could have fit in, it probably wouldn't have been quite the absolute.
But can't you get too many places to race though? We talk.
Yeah,
about
I think that's what we've actually seen with radio.
Got to have a balance.
And other things.
There's a balance. I mean, it's the track prep thing. Drag racing as a sport knows how to find the extremes, and I'm telling you, we've seen it play out over the course of the last 20 years in drag racing, where it's like, okay, we're going to prep the track to the nines. Where this thing is going to be fly paper tacky. We're going to spend all day spraying. We're going to stop after 8 pairs of cars and re-prep the track. We're going to hire, there's going to become this whole culture of track prep gurus. They're going to come in and prep your track, and people are going to decide whether or not they come to your event based on who you have prepping the track. Is it Wade Rich? Is it Sydney Marshall? Is it Tyler Crossnow? Is it Jason Ruckert? Is it the Traction Twins? Is it Jimmy Bradshaw? Who's the guy, right? We saw that whole thing come to be. And then the other side of it was, fuck it, we're not going to prep the track at all. We're danger drag racing. You know what I mean? We're not going to prep it at all. Bare concrete. We're going to go find us an airport parking lot and hold us a big money drag race. And I really, like, so often the answer is somewhere in the middle. I mean, we saw that in full display. I think we've seen it in full display throughout the winter series, specifically at the World Series of Pro Mod, when it was like a slick tire only event where the prep was significant or consistent across all the categories of cars that were running there. But we saw it this past weekend at Shadyside Dragway, the magic of like, hey, the track's good enough. Is it the best track you're ever going to race on? Probably not. Is it the worst track you've ever raced on? Definitely not. And it's going to bring people from that radial tire flypaper world, but also from the, you know, still strong, small tire, no prep contingent, and bring them together in one place. I've had this conversation a lot. You went to dinner with him last week, Mike, with Aaron Van Heel at Intercomp Scales.
Yep.
In Minneapolis, Minnesota. And he has kind of fancied this term low prep, where it's not new prep. We're going to prep the track, but we're not going to go crazy. You know, we're going to use the equipment.
That's the way it always used to be. Up until that craze you talked about it earlier, that's the way it was. That's what you could expect. And then it just went way over center one way. No prep was a reaction, pendulum swing the other direction. And we're back in the middle. But we should definitely talk about that. That should be like the first thing we ask.
Well, they're prepping the shit out of all that.
And all these guys.
Each track wanted that radial record, right? It was going back and forth between
that
tracks.
Drove it a lot.
That did drive it a lot.
How much can you prep your track, and how much better can you make it, and how can
we get that fastest run
on the schedule? Hey, I remember. I don't know if you guys remember this night, but it was I don't exactly remember the name of the race off the top of my head right now. Radial something at North Star Dragway in Denton, Texas, about 45 miles due north of me here in Fort Worth, and they literally like waited to run the final until like after midnight, just to get it cool enough that they thought that
happens all the time, man.
You know,
a lot of this small tire stuff. That's what happens. But that's not what happened this weekend. We'll have to talk to those guys about that. I mean, let's probably save some of that for when those guys get on here and keep rolling through some of the stuff before we get
speaking of exciting stuff that we need to talk about. Huge news: the brand new issue DI 194, the 194th issue of Drag Illustrated magazine dropped.
Getting close to 200. What are we going to do for 200, man?
I don't know, bro. We need to start having that conversation. We've actually got about, what month is this? May. So we've got 6-7 months probably. I guess that we can
drop that banner out of there. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. Steve King.
Dude, Steve King is killing it on social too. These videos he's making are just cracking me up. I mean, they're awesome.
He's so like unassuming or whatever, but he plays it so well. And Jess and ET edits, I think, is always beating on him doing this stuff. So we've seen
over
some
the
stuff
fence,
that hasn't
like the mule.
Yeah, we've seen some stuff that hasn't quite made it to publish yet. Probably rightfully so. So they're always working on some new stuff. And yeah, dude, this issue, like this one's been in the makings for a while now, but I think with our team internally and everyone that was participating in this event, the winners, everyone that was anticipating this issue, this is one that we've done every year for several years now, but you kind of forget about how much we look forward to it and how important it is to like our people.
I think it's exciting to see this reignition that happens when the magazine drops. You know what I mean? It's like the dollar bills have floated to the ground, right? We're a few months removed from crowning Steve King the champion of the World Series of Pro Mod. And just as is nature, right? The world continues, things move on, racing seasons start. And then it feels like the magazine drops and Steve King's on the cover, and it just reignites that fire and it reignites that drive. Like, people want to be on the cover of that magazine. They want to win that race, and it's because they want that moment. It's not because they need the money real bad or it's going to turn their program around. It's because they want to experience that moment and all the spoils that come with winning the biggest, richest pro mod drag race in the history of the known universe, man. I thought the magazine across the board looked fantastic, Mike. Just the photography, specifically, like, we have great photos from the Drag Illustrated Winter Series, just across the board. Luke Nyhoff, Daryl Jackson, Dave Hillner, name some more people.
Robert
Richards. I mean, the list goes on.
Tara Valker. I don't know. Tara might not have been there. Kaylee.
Kaylee Snedker.
Melly.
Or Melly Snedker, excuse me.
Melly and Kaylee from the track.
Yeah, I mean, such an incredible photography in there. And I love seeing everybody post like where they were mentioned. Like 44 seconds after the magazine drops, Vic Alvarez has that 2-page spread of his car burying the wheelie bars there in the far lane at Bradenton.
Speaking
right up
of pictures, I just Poland just sent me this one.
He just texted to me too. I didn't have time to send it to you as well. Yeah. It's bold move, Poland.
Bold move.
In the Racers Club shirt.
Yeah.
Rocking. So crazy, dude. It's no, I mean, I just feel like that the magazine just relights that fire, and it's super exciting. And I don't know about you guys, but it's humbling, right? To see, like, using Steve King as the best example, you see how much he has embraced winning this race and the kind of pressure that's put on that person. It's been amazing. And I'm so appreciative of it because we've been around this stuff a long time, professionally now for 20 years for me. And it's like, I know how special it is and how the rare air that it is to have these events become that career defining happening. Like, you think about the guys that go on to win NHRA championships, but never won Indy, right? I mean, it's this big hole in their resume. It's a big hole in their legacy. And to have an event that means so much to so many people is just absolutely incredible, man. It really is.
There's Mark. Mark, we just talked about you earlier. You scared us. You scared us last week, but we're glad to see you back this week.
Yeah, we're glad to see you back, man.
No, man. And talking about just embracing that, the pilot team ordered a couple hundred extra copies of the magazine, and they're going to have them at the next PDRA race. Got that nice velvet cover, a silver Sharpie, just eats that up. Looks awesome. So they're gonna be signing copies of that and handing them out, or just doing promotional stuff there. So if you're at the next PDRA event, which is, what's the next PDRA race? Unfortunately, Miss Norwalk. Is it Budds Creek?
I think so.
I'm gonna get busted for not knowing my PDRA schedule.
Yeah,
date when you need
South Shootout, Maryland International Raceway, Budds Creek, Maryland, June 12th through 14th.
So they'll just a couple weeks away. They'll have copies there, signing them and handing them out to fans. So they bought extra trophies. That's actually in the magazine. I snuck that picture in there, Wes, of all of us when Gene Pilot ordered the additional trophies, one for every member of the team. So it really probably set the new bar for just like
what is expected.
What can we get? Give us all the trophies, magazines, anything we can get to kind of to celebrate. We wrapped their trailer. The back of it's got World Series of Pro Mod champion on it. I mean, they went all in, dude. So it's really
Spencer
awesome
did that
to see
too.
someone do
Whenever he won,
yeah,
he wrapped the back of his.
Yep.
Well, and here's, in fairness, you about have to. I was watching, and I mean, we'll get to this obviously later, but watching some of the video footage from the Ronnie Buff King of the South shootout this past weekend, it's like, you know, they really tried hard. The winner's circle looked good. They're spraying Larry Larson down with champagne. They got money stacked on top of the car. They got a crown for him. They got a killer trophy. All these things, like this stuff, all that pageantry, it really makes a difference. Like, it's hard to quantify, or it's hard to justify, like on your P&L. Like, do we really need all these jackets? Do we really need all these
P&L?
You know what I mean? But it's like, yes, you absolutely do. You know, like these are the things that make all the difference in the world. But it would be hard for some like bean counter to really wrap their head around or make sense of. But it's
that's where you don't have a bean counter. You got an owner like Gene Pilot or Spencer Hyde, Peter Hyde, and the Hyde team. I mean, like, that's the beauty of the Winter Series. Also, it's a lot of our teams are like that, and they're not out there for corporate ROI. They could be. We got that if you want it, but you know, they're out there for the love of the game, as they say.
100% for the love of the game. And I got to be honest, man, I think that's like if I had to do a what really grinds my gears segment, which I've been thinking about, right? Like
get Blake to come up with an intro. I can see that.
But what I saw from, and I'm going to share this later, but it's worth talking about now as we kind of preview the shakedown at M-Town coming up this coming weekend at US 131 in Martin, Michigan, kind of the next iteration, the latest iteration of the shakedown, the fabled shakedown franchise, an idea that was born in Old Bridge Township Raceway Park in Englishtown, New Jersey. The legendary David Hance, I think a guy who really doesn't get the credit that he really deserves for being a driving force behind like small tire and outlaw drag racing as a whole.
Donald talked about that a lot last
did he?
week. Yeah, about because, like wanting it to be a successful event, if nothing else, for Dave Hance and for what he did to establish the event. So yeah, I mean, I feel like we've been previewing this shakedown race. We had Jason Peterson on, we had Donald on once, we had Donald on twice, and now it's finally here. I actually saw some testing footage pop up from Jay Warren, NC Pro Modder, on my YouTube notifications every time he goes live. So they're out there testing. He's streaming. So it's finally here. Weather looks great this weekend, and looking forward to seeing how the event goes for sure.
Me too. It looks like it's going to be fast to me, but my grind my gears bit as we prepare for our first guest of the day really is in this. I don't know about you guys, but I look at Corey Stamper's event and what happened this past weekend at Shadyside Dragway in North Carolina, and I see a guy doing it for all the right reasons. Right? I mean, you're ticking a lot of boxes. You're paying good money. You're bringing worlds together. It's an invitational. We've been preaching this invitational thing for a long time. If that's a dynamic that you can flip in your event, it is worth exploring, because, and a lot of people think it's about exclusivity, and it is, but it's also like getting the right people involved is really important. And one of the, kind of a way to make that happen with minimal effort is just to make it an invitational. And if you want 100 cars, call 150 people, right? I mean, it's not an impossible task, but my point is that I feel like, Corey, what happened this past weekend, I was getting a lot of text from people that I respect that were using words like magical, incredible, can't wait to do this again, gonna buy a car so I can run this race next year. That was the type of feedback that I was hearing. And to me, that's rooted in a promoter that is doing it for all the right reasons. He's genuinely passionate about this stuff. He loves small tire racing. He loves grassroots drag racing. He's committed to it. He's going to a grassroots facility. I mean, you can't find anything much more outlaw than Shadyside Dragway in North Carolina. I mean, I kind of get chills every time I see video from that place and cars going up that hill with their parachutes out at 190 or 200 an hour.
I mean, that place, it's a great track. It's a good track surface. But that's kind of where it ends right there. I mean, they've done a lot of upgrades to it recently, done away with those stacked walls, I believe, that people would sit on and hang their legs over. But it lacks a lot of those, things that you look for in a modern track.
Right?
Yeah.
You know,
but that's the field. That's the whole thing. It's like Yellow Belly or some of these other small tracks. I mean, it's not far off from, you know, a lot of these small tracks, these small 8th mile tracks around the Carolinas, especially. But it adds another level to an event like that. And I mean, like, cars been going fast there for a while. They've run pro mods there since day one. Todd Tuttle, I think, went 210 miles per hour there, like, I don't know, 5 years ago or more. So it's one of these places you can go really fast, but do you want to go that fast there?
Right.
But it's like, for me, I look at it and I go, okay, Corey, like, of all the boxes he could tick, he ticked as many of them as he possibly could. It's well established that this guy is a good guy that's trying hard to do the right thing, to take care of the racers, puts the racers first, puts the fans first, does everything he can to create that experience. And what I didn't see out of him during the buildup to the King of the South shootout, I didn't see any name calling. I didn't see any talking shit about other promoters. And I feel like this is something that needs to be aired out, is that in this industry, we're in a growth cycle. Like, there's an opportunity in the sport of drag racing, and it's a cliche, but it's true. Like, competition happens at the bottom, collaboration happens at the top. And I point to some of these events. I don't get paid by Jimmy Dale or Michael Poland. Matter of fact, every time I talk to Jimmy Dale, I just spend more money every single time. Every time we speak, I spend money. But the point is, I believe in what he's doing, and I think that we are collaborating, right? I'm trying to help him, put him over, and put Little Gangsters over, and do as much as we can to pour fuel on that fire. And I think we both benefit from it. He brings that whole crew of people down to the World Series. He's got a ton of energy and charisma that we can take advantage of, right? He's got an audience that we can take advantage of. And so we're collaborating, right? But then I kind of flip to the other side and I see some of the things that are struggling, you know, and it seems like it's a lot of tit for tat, bullshit, talking bad about each other, you know. And I'm not trying to, like, specifically, you know, identify anybody, but you know who you are. And it's like, it's like self-deprecating humor. Like, it's just a cheap laugh. And I do feel like I'm so proud of the fact that we've been able to build the World Series of Pro Mod and the Drag Illustrated Winter Series without having to shit on anybody else's events, without having to draw some sort of line in the sand and make people choose who they're going to support. Like, I'm really proud of that. And I don't think we talk about it enough. Like, we're not on here bagging on anybody's purses. We're not stacking events on top of other people's events. I understand all these things that get talked about. Yeah, there's only so many weekends in a year. I get it. You know, there's limited real estate, but a little bit of common sense and logic and collaboration would help this sport immensely. Like, I see that right now with the NHRA.
We talked about it last week about having, we talked about this and having a group and you know, maybe get all the promoters into a Facebook group or a Slack channel or something like that, just so that you can run dates by each other. You know, I mean, it wouldn't be that hard if you got a lot of these people in the right channels.
Ego. And there's so much ego, and we're all guilty of it, right? We all think we're the best. We all think that we do it better than anybody else, but there's a reality that we can only serve so many people, right? Like, I can't put on 25 races a year. You know, a PDRA can't put on 25 races a year. So it's like, you drill down on your niche and you lean into your niche. And it's like, I think if everybody drills down on their niche, the people they're trying to serve, and focus on them, and then look for opportunities to work together where they present themselves. I mean, that's the magic. That's where these big events come from, is because it's a colliding or a coming together of all these different people from different walks of the racing life. And I think that we've got to find a way to bring a little bit of that more of that collaboration to the table, because I see a lot of people just constantly trying to slit one another's throats, and events that are super close together. And it's like, oh, you pay 10, I'll pay 20, I'll pay 30, they'll pay 50. And that's like competing on price, which is a race to the bottom, you know? So it's really trying to bring some awareness that there are some promoters in this space. I mean, Corey Stamper is somebody we've gotten behind Corey, right? Anything Corey does, whether it's an RC drag race or a 75,000 to win small tire shootout, we talk about it and we hold it in high regard, right? And it's not like we're getting any money from him, but we're trying to collaborate with people that we think are difference makers in the space, and we help them and they help us, right? I mean, I don't ever have to wonder about getting a highlight reel or a video from Corey Stamper or any of the events he goes to, because we've built that relationship, right? There's value being provided on either side. He doesn't mind doing me a favor because we're constantly doing him favors. So I just would love to see a little bit of more of that, and I also like the community is really what's lacking in the space. Like there's all these cliques and there's all these different groups of racers, but like really driving home that like, hey, we're in this together, right? We need to keep these tracks open. We need to keep these series and sanctions and events healthy, and finding and exploring ways to do that, I think, is mission critical. But we want to, it seems like we want to talk shit on each other more so. More so than not. Anyways, guys, I've got to take a second here and pay some bills. I want to remind you that each and every episode of the Wes Buck Show is made possible by way of our friends at Stroud Safety. Stroud Safety is known for their top quality racing safety equipment, from drag chutes and seatbelts to fire suits and blankets, all 100% made in America. Log on to stroudsafety.com and make sure you tell them we sent you. I got them ahead of myself there, guys. JT, you may have done a better job with the script.
My gosh, man.
Last week.
Well, yeah. You haven't taken a breath for 5 minutes. So I mean, you've been on a roll. You've been on a roll.
Like a physic woodpecker today.
You are.
I don't know what it's about.
Did you have earlier?
Quiet all day. So
JT, we're gonna have to. Yeah, we have the HR department.
We have a short video of this. So of POWERtube TV.
Set up the video, JT. You got to set.
I'm going to do it.
Supercharged channel for all things automotive. Created by enthusiasts for enthusiasts, this powerhouse channel is fueled by obsession that's garage-born and street-proven. POWERtube TV isn't just another TV channel. It's a nationwide movement of gearheads, thrill seekers, and garage legends. From Gen Z to boomers, coast to coast, millions of fans live for the roar of engines on POWERtube TV. This full-throttle TV channel features back-alley builds to multi-mil American muscle. From off-road beasts to street legends, POWERtube TV fuels pure horsepower.
Oh, that's gonna be Bruno in the next video when he shaves his head.
And one-of-a-kind experience.
We need a live. We get him on live when he shaves his head.
And more. Don't miss out. POWERtube TV is built for the fans who can't have speed without power.
Good job, JT. Even though there was no real setup for the clip, but apparently,
I was trying, man. I had to get it in there.
Yeah, you had to get it in there. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for the one and only Brian Bossone and Bruno Massel Jr., fresh, staring down the barrel of the kickoff of the resurrection of the Pinks brand with a huge event coming up in June at Rockingham Dragway. Brian, Bruno, what's up, guys? Thanks for joining us.
How you doing, buddy? Good to go here.
What's up, man? Good to join you guys again.
Brian, I want to give the floor to you. I actually spent like an hour and a half this morning watching an interview you did with Cooper Buggetti recently, a longtime friend of ours here at Drag Illustrated and an all-around great guy. And I felt like I got a ton of insight as to kind of the massive process and project this whole thing has been for you specifically. So I would love to just kind of like in a nutshell type of origin story for the people. I think that almost all of our viewers or listeners would be very, up to date on what Pinks was, and Rich Christensen, some of the key staff members, et cetera, and what that show represented. But I think like the last 5 to 7 years is likely a mystery to most. So maybe take us back to the height of Pinks. This thing is taking over. You're doing Pinks all out, taking over tracks all over the country. What happened and how did we get to here? And I know that's a big, broad question that you could spend an hour answering, but if you could give us kind of like an elevator version of how we went from there to here.
Sure. And once again, I appreciate you having us on, Bruno and I. So I'll make it really quick. So I got involved with Pinks back in 2000, I think it was 6, worked my way through the ranks, being on the show twice, racing for titles. Then I got hired to be behind the scenes with Nate on Pinks and getting the cars ready to go. And then finally got asked to be on Pinks All Out and ended up being in the tower in the final few years. Let's say the evolution of the brand started with Pinks, and that's why I wanted to bring Pinks back first, because that's how it all started. And everybody knows Pinks: lose the race, lose your ride. Probably the craziest thing you ever saw on TV, and probably one of the first automotive reality TV shows you ever saw, which just created this massive spark that took Speed Channel from 33 million homes to like 90 million homes in less than 2.5 to 3 years. So yeah, that was the biggest problem though. the expansion or explosion of what Pinks All Out, Pastime, Drag Race Highs, and the other great shows did was it created a platform that Fox, being the mothership, decided that it was big enough now to take on ESPN. And actually, Speed Channel turned to FS1. If anybody watched, and I'm sure Speed diehards probably did, notice that it slowly morphed over during the year of 2000. I think it was a 10 or 11, where you could watch the Speed and FS1, and all of a sudden on a Sunday morning, it went whoop, and then they had the whole thing and it was done. So in that process, Pinks All Out, Pinks was massive. Pinks All Out was just insanity. 33,000 people in the stands at ZMAX Raceway, 25,000 in Summit Raceway Park. I mean, you guys have probably all seen the insanity. And the best part about it was they weren't there to see Top Fuel dragsters. They weren't there to see, high paid people. They were there to see their neighbors and, small time racers. And as you say, grassroots racers. And that's really been where this has all led me to, take it forward and continue moving it, because I witnessed, a guy building his car next door to standing on the winners, in the winner's circle, $10,000 toolbox, signing autographs right behind us in the line with more people than that. And that to me was absolutely probably one of the greatest things I ever saw, because I started, and we all start off, 14-second Mustang all the way down to I ran a 7-second Pro 5.0 car. We all had to start somewhere. And, at that particular time when Pinks came out, there was nothing more than test and tunes and maybe some bracket racing. And as goofy as it all was, and let's be honest, I mean, the reality of racing 500 racers, which we had as much as 503 racers, to choosing 16 that no one else raced, which I was the guy that chose the 16. So either 16 loved me and the rest hated me for, $10,000 was insanity. But it wasn't about the actual money. It was about the camaraderie, the party in the pits, the fun, like-minded people doing the same thing, and the grassroots racers having an elevated stage. Fast forward, when Pinks went off the air and it went to FS1, everything got shelved. Sort of like things going on with Motor Trend right now. They're experiencing the same exact thing. When the big conglomerate or the big network owns it, they're out in Hollywood doing their stuff. They're driving their electric cars and could give a crap about drag racing. They did it for the money, and if the money's not there, then they just move on or from there. And that's what happened. The difference was, though, we got a contract right away for 5 years to do Pinks All Out, Rich and I. And the biggest problem we had was the overlord, I call him Fox, sorry, Bruno, you work with him right now still, but they literally, the contract that they wrote was so restrictive. They wanted 10% of the budget, no international distribution, and they wanted the episodes free because Speed was still on internationally in Canada, I think in the Caribbean and stuff like that. I'm like, so we went to Discovery and they said, no international, because that's, Bruno knows well. If you don't have international, you're not going to get a big partner. We tried and tried and tried. And the only thing I could really put together was in 2015, Rockingham. And that's why we're going back there. 2015 was literally the last televised episodes we ever did. I did that for the Outdoor Channel for Jim Liberatore, because Jim Liberatore used to be the head of Speed Channel, and he knew what the brand can do. And hunting and fishing, the same people that watch that are drag racers, let's be honest. So in 2015, we did Pinks All Out. We did 4 or 5 episodes. We tried a bunch of crazy stuff with Rich. We did motorcycles and this and that. In the first nighting out, first night on a Wednesday in the same time slot, it increased viewership by 70% from an existing show. So they knew it was going to be a hit. They come back and they say, all right, we want it. We want it all. But we need international. They said, can you go back out at Fox again? And I went back at them over and over. And they I don't know why, but they just wouldn't give it up. It's been 2-3 years, not being seen anywhere. The people in Canada are actually still watching Pinks right now. It's still on some sort of a Fox-owned deal. It's 15 years. They're watching the same episodes. I talked to a guy last week. He's like, no, it's still. So they just wouldn't give it up. And fast forward again, I get a phone call now. And in between that time, I tried to keep the brand alive. I did All Out Live, and I did different things like that. That kept that same kind of format. And I get a phone call because we'd work with Motor Trend and we've dealt with them Discovery. And he goes, Brian, we want Pinks. They saw the downfall. I wouldn't say, I sorry to say Street Outlaws, but it was kind of on its, and they knew that something had to replace it. And they were looking and they saw what legacy shows were doing and they wanted it back. So we went into this. I said, I don't own it. So I went, we had already been in negotiation trying to buy it for that. After those 3 years, $500,000 on the table I offered for just Pinks. Turned it down. Didn't turn it down. Just literally 3 months between conversations and really just let it go.
Your experience, like I feel like that's kind of like the experience with a lot of these big companies.
Horrible.
Business, and that's why I think like in our space, it's like nobody in the drag racing community is excited about a merger and acquisition. Those are bad words in our space. You know what I mean? Because it's like this is a community that's built on the back and mom and pop businesses and small business owners and do-it-yourselfers. I think about Bruno's dad. You know what I mean? Guys like that work with their hands, create a product. They were a racer, and they kind of became a businessman because they created some sort of competitive advantage that they ultimately decided to share with the masses and sell. And then you go to like, you sell the company, and all of a sudden it's this corporate West Coast. And I'm not trying to bag on the West Coast just broadly, but it's like a different type of approach to business, and it's not near as nuts and bolts. It's not near as hands-on. It's watching it and monitoring it from afar. Because like I'm surprised that one of the things that interests me with these TV shows, and I'd love to talk about, and Bruno, you have a production company yourself, so I'm sure you've got some to offer on this, but times are changing rapidly. Like it's brands, like it's shocking to me sometimes when I hear about a television company that's holding on for dear life to some brand that they haven't paid any mind to or paid any attention to in a decade. And it's like, man, let this go. Like, if you care so much about it, you'd think you'd be doing something with it. And I understand protecting investments and hedging all these things, but it's like, man, you'd be better off to focus on what you are excited about or what you do think's working. This kind of leads me to my next question. Like, and we can get into the nuts and bolts of Pinks and Pinks All Out and how this is all going to work. But Bruno, I'll throw it to you. Like, what have you seen? Like, my wife and I, we have this favorite lunch spot right here. And every day when I walk in there, Railhead Bar and Grill, Bruno's on the TV, staring me in the face. And Alicia noticed it. Bruno's on. You've been a part of this TV world for a long time, Bruno, in a multitude of capacities. Can you kind of give me the lay of the land and like what makes you particularly excited or willing to dive into this, knowing what you know about the TV landscape kind of ever changing?
Well, the thing is, it's unfortunate, ever since I remember, there was the TNN days, there was always something that had a dedicated linear channel. Well, back then it wasn't linear. We had a channel, right? Is what we had in terms of television. So we lost that. We're starting to lose that right now. No one really sure is what's actually going to end up shaking out with Motor Trend. Spent a lot of time with my buddy Friday right now. He's part of the NHRA broadcast and kind of kicks stuff back and forth. And, he's like, I live in Burbank and this is like the TV capital of the world and nobody's working. It's kind of a sad place right now. So everyone's trying to figure out where is the car program going to go. I mean, it's got such a huge following from sponsors and, enthusiasts, go all the way back to, guys like my dad who said, watch this stuff. Before TNN used to just sit in our shop and play 24/7. Then it became Speed Channel, right? Then it became, Velocity, then it became Motor Trend. Right now, there's kind of like, everyone's kind of waiting to see how this is going to play out. So, I love what Brian has done is he's kind of taken the bull by the horns and done his own thing, and creating his own channel, creating the POWERtube TV and bringing back an iconic show like Pinks that really kind of started this whole genre of, the arm drop stuff and the Street Outlaws and all that kind of stuff, kind of going back to the roots of something that was a proven entity and finding a new place to put it. So that's kind of what I was all on board about is like, yeah, let's take some of that's work, find a new place to put it and kind of put a different spin on things and kind of see where it plays out. And he's I can tell you, as you can tell, his enthusiasm for this project is unbridled. He is behind it 100%. And I'd like to see people try to take up some of this stuff. Like Garage Squad's a show, like you say, it airs 24/7, it marathons all day long, and it's just sitting with nothing happening to it, right? Because there isn't a place to put it. No one's spending money right now with automotive programming, unfortunately. So while things are shaking out, people like Brian are taking the ball and running with it versus just doing YouTube stuff. Everybody seems to be going these days. There's nothing wrong with that, but the thing is, the YouTube space is so overpopulated, oversaturated. Everything's kind of caught in the minutia. It's like a billboard in Vegas. None of them stand out anymore, right? So, and to get it to make money and be profitable, it has to stand out. So, this whole industry is kind of in a big shakeup right now. Thankfully, you've got people like Fox who are fully invested in NHRA drag racing. They're fully invested in IndyCar and NASCAR and everything else. So that's really the only people who seem to really supporting this motorsports in general right now. And we just need the car enthusiast stuff to find a home or Motor Trend come back strongly and reinvest in the enthusiast marketplace.
Be there, no doubt, man. I mean, these are, I've heard a lot of that same thing that you were talking about with Freiberger. Just so many people in the TV space that are looking for work or not currently working.
Right.
And this has been a huge conversation in drag racing for like the last 2-3 years with the future of Street Outlaws and No Prep Kings. And like, are they going to be able to get another television partner? Are they going to get back on TV? Like, I get asked that question constantly. And it's crazy how important that piece is. But at the same time, you know, I got to give you credit. I mean, Brian, I mean, building your own platform, I think in this day and age, that's the pathway forward, right? I mean, I think that we're not too far removed from a world where you don't necessarily buy a blanket cable package. You buy a subscription to the handful of things that you regularly consume or prefer to consume. And that's your viewing experience. You know what I mean? Like, I think about all that's changed in the last 15 or 20 years, which has been absolutely insane. I can't imagine, like, I'm not so sure that we'll be looking at a phone 10 years from now. I think that we'll be interacting with technology in some other way. I'm not sure what it is, but no, it's really interesting, man. So is that kind of the plan, Brian, with POWERtube, is to build out this motorsports centric central 100%. Nervous system for all this different, because I mean, you're partnering with creators, you've got different podcasts that are airing on there. Like, it's a wide variety of content.
Yeah. So that really comes down to it. The whole idea with that, with, once again, as Bruno talked about, is, and we just spoke about with the overlord controlling of the big networks, and they control your destiny, everybody being at work. You know, we got to this point because we had a deal going with Motor Trend Discovery, and they wanted Pinks. I went back to Fox and was able to actually, everybody was gone, and there was a new person there. And thank God, in 6 weeks, I owned it. But that was part of a negotiation because I was supposed to actually work directly hand in hand with Motor Trend, and then Motor Trend merged with Warner. And guess what? That was done in, I had 3-4 months into this whole deal. We had numbers on the board, and within 3 weeks, the guy I was working with, he says, I don't have a job anymore. They cut all my budgets. I'm sorry you bought that, which means I spend all that money. And where does it go now? And that's the whole deal. I'm done putting my hands in the eggs in everybody else's basket. So POWERtube TV literally is a way for us to control our destiny. No one can tell me what to put on and off. I can put anything I want from there. We tested the Pinks and the Pinks All Out, millions of hits on YouTube. I looked at it, did the studying, and I said, you know what? I did a lot of it, a lot of studying, a lot of it, information there. And I said, you know what? Let's stream this. And what we're doing for the last 2.5, 3 years is literally growing this network. And I've owned Pinks now for 3 to 43 years now plus. I could have just went out and done these events and called Bruno up and said, let's do this. But when you start off something like this, there's nobody going to watch. So it's that whole tree falls in the woods deal. So the last 2.5, 3 years, we've been so aggressive, hand-to-hand guerrilla marketing, going out to big events, SEMA, PRI, all this stuff in Gatlinburg. We're going up to Iowa Car Show. We'll be at Syracuse. And we have booths and we hand out stuff and koozies and different things to get the word out, because what we have to do is build this network up so that people know about it. And then we could bring back Bruno, Pinks, Pastime, Drag Race High, and all these great shows that really we know work, because guess what? It's been done and it's a proven fact. Nobody wanted them to go away. The network controlled it. So
I feel like that's often the case. I mean, I think a lot of times that it's not like viewership has fallen off a cliff. It's just like a lot of times it's silly stuff. A new incoming CEO. I mean, almost all these guys in the C-suite level, they want to make their mark, right? They want to they want to leave a fingerprint, if you will, on the business. So they're going to come in and they're going to make some sort of wholesale change, right, wrong, or indifferent. We're going to do it my way, right? And it seems like a lot of times, some great shows and great projects get thrown in the trash because this guy wants to go a new direction for no real rhyme or reason other than to demonstrate that he was there. What do you think is going to be so like Pinks comes back? I mean, how much of a challenge is it because it's a double-edged sword, right? Like, you have all this built up brand equity, right? People know the brand, they love it, but now you're introducing a new face. Bruno is a beloved figure in the sport of drag racing. So really path. But I mean, I am curious, like, because that's certainly a challenge. Bruno, you're going to have to deal with some of that as well, because people hate change. I mean, even change for the good, they 100%. Often hate. So it's interesting dynamic. I mean, what do you make of kind of following in the footsteps of Rich Christensen?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I hate change. I'm like the big, I like nothing to change. My kid's leaving for college, and next week actually I have to drop off in Indiana, and I'm dreading the thought of it because this is going to shake up my life in a huge way. So, when it comes to this, I think one of the good things actually for me will play out is there's been 10 years since the show's been on there or longer, right? So there's been a bit of a drop off. It wasn't like we went from one season to the next. So the Garage Squad show I did, we had 4 different girls in 8 seasons. And that was really tough on the new girl coming in. No matter what, she was being judged or, for whatever person or whatever people knew of her in the past and already coming preconceived notions. Love or hate her, there's some people who are going to be on both sides of it. They're going to cheer for or want the other person back. It's like the backup quarterback is, a great position to be in. You know what I mean? Because when the team's struggling, let's throw that guy who makes one career, Halo or Hail Mary pass. He's the next legend, and he's supposed to be back to the spot. So if that's an easy spot to be in. Right. So for me, though, it's a different approach. I mean, what Rich did, it was the face of the show, obviously. It's such a host-driven show. The show worked because of him, the way he handled it. I do things my own way. I've got my own way of doing stuff. I'm not going to try and emulate anyone. And I'm just going to try and take that role and be the person who kind of like steers the ship as things go on. Let these guys, let their personalities come out. Let people cheer for somebody or hate somebody. You always got to have, the guy, people that are mad at, they want to cheer against, the guy they want to cheer for, and that's going to naturally play out. I don't want to determine any end results of people losing their cars or not, whatever. I just want to be the mediator, the guy kind of, pushing the show along, so to speak, and pacing it. It's not really about me. I'm not going to be out there shaved head. That isn't my look, obviously. That isn't my thing. But I'm going to be out there just kind of pacing the show and let these people, let their personalities play out. Let these guys enjoy their 5 minutes of fame or 15 minutes of fame or whatever it is, because I know as a racer, you work so damn hard to get where you are. Get any kind of recognition, go out there and perform, and you put so much blood, sweat, and tears in it. Nobody sees you working at the shop late at night, driving through the night to get to the racetrack, or driving back the next morning, going back to work the next day. So this is the moment for these guys to go out there and really shine, and I don't want to take that away from them. Let them play out however they want to be. Let them be their personalities, and I think that'll be great for everybody to watch it, and like it was in years past, and just kind of be the guy who pushes this thing along and mediates.
You hit the nail on the head there, and I think that's honestly, I tell our team, so we serve a lot of different functions at Drag Illustrated, but I think chief amongst them is our ability to make racers feel good about spending their money going drag racing. Right. I mean, justifying that investment that they're making, that time away from family, those late night trips that you're talking about, and those early mornings. A lot of people don't see that. It doesn't get a lot of fanfare. So I take great pride and feel honored to have the opportunity to give somebody that pat on the back through, a story on our website, a post on social, a feature story in the magazine. It's just a way we can fan that flame and keep them excited in a sport that by and large kicks your teeth down your throat every weekend. I mean, this is a back-breaking sport. No matter how much success you have, they're going to take a lot of L's along the way. So if we can keep cheering people on, and I think that's one of the great roles that Pink served, is it was this like breakout moment for a lot of these racers. A lot of the guys that I remember seeing on Pinks were guys I'd known racing for years. Right. But here was their opportunity to stand on the stage and have the light shine on them. And what does it do for them? And I kind of want to bookend this conversation with a broad stroke. Like, listening to you talk, Brian, with Cooper Baghetti, and that was a great episode of Cooper's podcast. I'm glad you did that. But your passion for grassroots drag racing really resonated with me. And Bruno, as someone who's kind of seen this sport from a lot of different vantage points, I'm just curious, like kind of collectively, I feel the future of our sport by and large is in the hands of grassroots drag racers. I think these are the most relatable men and women that exist in our sport. I think that these are the dream is still alive. There's still kind of this notion that me and a couple of my buddies can get together and work on a car in our shop and then go race it, against other people that are similarly prepared or whatever. I think that this is really the best version of our sport. And I look at like NHRA and Top Fuel and Funny Car, and as awesome as those things are and incredible, the reality is that it's so far away from what most people are ever going to be able to accomplish. It's a real challenge, right? So I feel like you guys are poised, and a lot of people in this space. I mean, we track a ton, KPIs, we call them, a lot of different metrics that we track in our business. And it's like, I'm looking at web traffic. Like, we're getting web traffic for a 28, 10-5, no time shootout race that literally rivals the traffic we would get for the NHRA US Nationals. I mean, wow. It's amazing to me. You know what I mean? And it's actually, you know, we typically, Drag Illustrated has somebody at about 100 races a year is what our average is the last few years. And that's where the action is. I mean, it's where the broad stroke interest in our sport is for whatever reason right now. And I think it's an incredible thing. I mean, do you guys feel that? I mean, and feel something of a opportunity and almost like an obligation to give these guys that are burning the candle at both ends an opportunity to, you know, stand in the sunlight.
That's why we're doing it.
I totally.
Go ahead, Bruno.
You know, Brad, I mean, let's go back to saying, you know, I'm a grassroots racer. I mean, everything I have, I built. I never went out to, you know, Jerry House and said, here's, you know, $230,000, build me a pro stock car. I work on my own cars. I build the engines. I'm the one who's driving the trailer out and driving it home at night, doing everything in between. And that's not like a chore. To me, it's a badge of honor because I'm proud of everything I've gotten. It's something that's just the norm. If I want to race, that's what it takes to do. And for 95% of the population, they're in the same boat as me. So it's relatable because there's more of us out there who have to do it on their own versus the guy who can just write that check and show up with a helmet in his hand and a bag and a fire suit. I had the opportunity, thank God, for Mark Stockstead to do that in pro stock. It was the greatest thing in the world, but it was, you know, it wasn't reality for me. It wasn't going to be the everyday. It was an opportunity to be Cinderella for one night. And you know what I mean? And obviously I turned into a pumpkin afterwards. I'm back to my grassroots, but I never stopped. I mean, I was racing my comp car when I was running the pro stock car. So for me, like even the television show I did, Garage Squad, what really surprised me was we were a low budget show for what it was. You got Overhaul, you got some of these other big name shows, and it's a different show because it was relatable. The show was very successful because we were in people's garages. We weren't on lifts. We didn't have fancy tools. We were on jack stands, crawling underneath with a fan we'd have to shut off when we were doing production because you couldn't hear the audio, that kind of stuff. With tools we had from any, I'm not going to bag on a store, but from down the street, you know what I mean? Big box stores that would break me, take my phone because they're one-use tools. And that's how we did the show. It was relatable because people, that's the real population of what we do in the automotive industry. We're people who really work on their stuff, take pride in what they've got, and they don't have the ability to go out there and race in the NHRA and Top Fuel. You know, it's like playing the NFL. Everybody loves it. It's great to watch. It's exciting. Love everything about it. But it's not possible for 99% of the population. So there's more of us out there who are people who got their hands dirty, underneath their nails, who are doing their own stuff, and they want to have a place to not only shine but to go and show what they can do and show what they're about. And this is another platform to do so. But this is, I think, the highest level of doing so because it has such a big following. So we're bringing something back that I think it's been missing in this world for a long time. You say the outlaw stuff you guys follow and all that. This is kind of like, I think it's been a spin-off of a lot of what we saw from Pigs, and now it's kind of coming back together full circle. I actually think with all the energy like you talk about, with all these smaller races and the outlaws races, I think this is going to actually build this up and make it bigger than it ever was, quite honestly.
I agree. I mean, I honestly think, Brian, and I'd love like your just kind of opinion on this grassroots, segment of the sport that I think, I mean, as a business owner, it's like I tell people all the time that I think every business is rooted in solving a problem, right? I mean, what problem are you going to solve? And I think right now, like the problem that you guys can solve and be a part of a solution that's kind of happening is providing a pathway for a regular weekend warrior racer to achieve status, to kind of tick that box, have that NHRA US Nationals moment, but maybe at Rockingham or some honky-tonk drag strip, of which I love, and I think our sport plays well at. I mean, to me, it's a valiant effort, and it's a really important part of what happens in our sport here, because, I mean, I've heard you talk about, paying more money and whatnot, and we pay big money at our events, but at the same time, that's such a small part, really, because that money's spent before you pull out of the parking lot. You're fixing stuff you bought, you're paying bills you haven't paid yet. You're hoping you win so that you can pay the chassis guy the money that you owe him from 3 months ago or whatever. I mean, that's like the nature of our sport. So I think that building into the pomp and circumstance and the prestige of having that moment racing for Pinks, it's an incredible thing, man. I'm excited for you guys, and I'm really excited to see where this thing heads. So give us a couple of closing notes here, Brian, just like where to be tuned into. I know the race is coming up next month. It's right upon us. So give us some key details for where people can follow along this whole process. And we'll, of course, follow up on this whole story on dragillustrated.com.
Yeah. Once again, so it's POWERtube TV. Support the network that'll grow. It'll be the platform for everybody to bring them to the elevated stage. Grassroots racers are the key. That's why we're doing this. You know, go to Rockingham, support this June 13th and 14th. You go right to our ticketing, go to vote from there, support the network, support the event. And then I'm going to leak out a little bit of info that Bruno and I spoke about. So when we talk about supporting grassroots racers, the biggest show we did to support grassroots racers was literally Pink's All Out. And we are doing that again. And we have a solidified track and we have a date. We're not going to tell you right now. We don't want to overshadow this event coming up because it's so important. But yes, Pink's All Out's coming back, pastime as well. You know, everything we're doing is for the grassroots racers. Even so, if you didn't know, POWERtube TV is 100% free. There's no subscription fee. You could log on right now, go to pttvlinks.com, download the apps, do them free. Everything's simple from there. One thing I really want to do is on the closing is really thank the racers that stepped up. For people to come out on this first event to race for titles is something that you have no idea how difficult it is, and they're putting it on the lines. And we call them the biggest racers with the biggest balls in the world, because it's true. We've got James Rolette, Zachary Beasley, Carl Balzer, Wayne Willoughby, Don Burns, Jason Sample, Stefan Sliz, Doug Johnson, all those guys. They stepped up when other people kind of walked away. We had like 40 applicants. We're down to 8 solidified cars being raced. You come out to Rockingham on June 13th and 14th. Watch these guys run for 8 titles, not just one. We talk about Bruno taking the helm of this. Bruno's not, so it's a new network, all right? It's a new host, but we're not doing the same thing. They're racing for all cars. So these 8 racers, right? Basically, they're going to put them all in. First round goes in. They take a car with them. They now have 2 cars. They win another round. They go into finals. They'll have 3 cars plus their own. It's not anybody's keeping it. The last man standing owns all 8 cars, all the titles.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's a lot of cars. You're going to have all these guys showing up with, they better call Ken Cartuccio. I don't know if you saw, but he put one of those big, like 20 car haulers for sale on Facebook the other day. Somebody's going to have to call up Ken and buy a car hauler. We're going to
have haulers literally sitting there. E-Car Movers is our partner. It's going to be right, when in Rockingham, the staging lane's that one little, it's literally there. And Bruno's going to walk over every single time and said, will your car be on that trailer going home either with you, or is it going home with him? Really what it comes down to. It's awesome.
I'm excited for you guys, man.
When's Bruno going to shave his head? Like, I think everybody in the comment section wants to know.
Not happening.
JT, not anytime soon, but I'm not that committed just yet.
I think Bruno could whip Rich's ass.
I think he could too.
Bruno's built like a
Rich is now 61, 62 years old, so I still wouldn't mess with him.
I think I'm a broken down old man, buddy. I'm just trying to survive.
Bruno's
whatever.
Last time I checked, him and I haven't turned 30 yet. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of this, coming on here and helping us share the message and get people excited about POWERtube and the return of Pinks and Pinks All Out and everything else that you guys got on the stove here. So thank you guys again. I look forward to talking to you more soon. Best of luck and keep us posted.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys, let me take a quick second here and remind you that each and every episode of the Wes Buck Show is made possible by way of our friends at Redline Synthetic Oils. Redline has a reputation with racers and hardcore enthusiasts for creating products that protect and perform better than any on the market, and they've been doing it since 1979. Whether it's your race car, your tow rig, your motorcycle, or your lawnmower, when you think about lubricants, you need to think about Redline. For more information, log on to redlineoil.com. Guys, I don't know about you, but I think, there's room on television for Pinks. I think that there's room in our world.
Back in the day,
that's an awesome show, man.
Yeah, that was Pinks All Out, Pastime. I used to love Pastime. I used to want to be on there so bad.
Getting all the cars, that's crazy.
That is crazy. I have a funny feeling that's going to be a rough day at the racetrack. I mean, if I lose in first round, I'm leaving. I'm never coming back to Rockingham ever again. I do think that
I'm gonna stick around and try to buy my car back. Probably.
Shit, right? I'm gonna try to buy this thing back after the show. Well, hey guys, we've got another big guest here for you. I'm excited to talk to Spencer, 2023 winner of the World Series of Pro Mod, fresh-faced NHRA Nitro Funny Car rookie who has had a hell of a start to the 2025 NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series. Let's give it up for Spencer Hyde.
What up, rookie?
What's up, buddy? From the office, the old Napa.
He said fresh-faced rookie. Man, he must think
fresh-faced in Nitro Funny Car. I mean,
he's got the beard going now. You know, he's getting
shaved yesterday. He got a little carried away on the sides, but
I like it. A little fade. You got a little fade going. Shit.
And you were in Texas this weekend, eh?
We were. Yeah, we went down there for good friends of Courtney's wedding on Friday, and then hit the Charles Schwab on Saturday. Caught a little golf action down at Colonial, which was pretty cool. And then it was too hot there for this Canadian, so I blasted out of there Sunday. It was 99 degrees. I said,
"What?"
Yeah, man. Welcome.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that hot. I mean, you never know what you're gonna get in Texas. I mean, it goes from ice storms to 99 degrees.
I got a sunburn.
It was over 100 last
on
week.
the golf course.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. It is absolutely brutal down here. Well, hey, man, take us through kind of like a lot has happened in this short start. You know, we're still relatively early in the season, I suppose. But I mean, we've seen you win the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge in Vegas during the 4-wide. We've seen you have all sorts of. I mean,
we've got a clip of that actually.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Eric.
Let's play it.
Look at JT queued up.
Cars leave. Hagen's looking good, but look at that. Spencer Hyde's going to do it. Spencer Hyde
just busted their ass. Poor guys.
318 miles an hour, and Jim Head almost cracked a smile.
Almost cracked a smile. I love that.
And
there's Bruno.
Gets a medallion around the neck of Spencer Hyde for the first time in his career. He is a funny car winner. This time it's a Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge. You're a rookie driver. You're going 4 wide, and you pull out the victory. Can't get much better than this, can it?
No, it's pretty special. First 4-wide experience, first win in anything in NHRA, so pretty pumped about that. I got to give it to my guys. They turned that car around in about 35 minutes and gave me a good hot rod there for the final. It looks like it blew up in the lights. I got a little work to do, but I just can't thank my team enough. Everybody that supports me, my family, everybody. Mission for this deal. This is so cool. I'm pretty happy right now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bro, that white hat looked good on you. That's a good look. You know, I need to get one of those and have you sign it, you know, first. Okay, work on that for me. So take me through this experience. I mean, we heard Brian Loans on the call there talking about we almost saw Jim Head crack a smile. Jim Head is an absolute legend in our sport. I mean, if you've followed NHRA racing for any amount of time, you've likely seen one of his super good looking race cars when he was doing all the wild and crazy paint jobs. What's it like being a driver for someone that is like as widely respected as Jim Head?
It's been a very cool experience. I was a little nervous going in. I mean, I didn't know Jim at all. I knew Chad a little bit. You know, and everybody right from the beginning is telling me, you know, Jim's going to be difficult. Jim's going to be hard on you, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, he has his moments, but he's a great guy. Like, he's just a really good dude, just an old-fashioned school of hard knocks racer. You know, been there and done it all. He's been nitro racing for 45 years. I mean, he's seen it all, done it all. And between him and Dave Leahy and the Force Camp, I mean, I'm sure there's others too, but they developed the modern day funny car. All the safety stuff, all the research and development a ton of it came out of Jim's shop in Ohio. And a lot of people don't know that, but he's a very, very smart guy, and so is Dave Leahy. And just sitting up in the lounge with those two, listening to them talk back and forth has been, you know, I'm just kind of like sitting there like a sponge trying to take it all in. But it's been an awesome experience. They've been nothing but great to me. They have a really, really good group of guys, and honestly, that was one of the things I was most nervous about. Was I'm really close with my pro mod team. You know, a lot of them are family or really good friends, so. We've been together for 15 years, and it's just been such a tight-knit group. I was worried about, you know, stepping out of my comfort zone and into a new group, and these guys have been awesome. Just a really, really good group of guys, hardworking. They all want to be there, and you can tell that, which is really cool. So far the experience has been awesome.
What is the biggest, you know, that is like the ongoing storyline around Jim Head, right? That he's a kind of a rough and tumble character, doesn't have much to say. But I'm just curious, like, I think a lot of folks maybe don't understand, like, what is asked of a professional driver at this point in time and like what they're looking at from you. So could you kind of give us a glimpse into like the kind of feedback or perhaps the kind of preparation you were given and what they really expect from you? Because like, as you said, a lot of people don't really understand, you know, like the nuances of driving these cars, especially 330 mile an hour capable cars that make 12,000 horsepower. I mean, what kind of instruction are you given when you go into a role like this, driving a Nitro Funny Car?
So when he first flew up to Stratford here to meet me back in, it was American Thanksgiving, so November, we went out for dinner and he said, listen, there's 3 rules. You can never red light, never hit a cone, and never hit the wall. And I hit a cone about my 10th lap in the car in Gainesville when we didn't qualify. And I was a little worried about going back to the trailer after, but he kind of laughed it off and said, you know, that was our own fault. We didn't get you many full runs in your licensing process, actually 0 full runs. And that was the first time I'd taken to the finish line and the first time I drove the car at night. So listen, it was all good. But now that I've got 30 some runs in the car, he's starting to get a little more technical on some things and stuff he wants me to do. But honestly, it's just trying to keep up with this thing. It's so much different than the Pro Mod and so much different than the Dragster, which is kind of crazy to think about because a funny car and a Dragster are really the same engine and powertrain, and they're just a center drive hardtail car, both of them, but they drive so much different from one another. And the funny car it's hard to tell yourself to put that much wheel into it down track when it's moving around. And, you know, then the odd time I'll put too much wheel into it and upset the thing and it'll smoke the tires. So you're just trying to find that fine line. And you know, Jim's first one to say, you just got to do it and feel it, because you can listen to 5 different guys and tell you 5 different things. So it's just going to take some laps to get used to it. But we made some good runs in Vegas. We made some good runs in Charlotte, and we made a couple good runs in Chicago. So that 388 run against Chad Green was, I mean, about as good a run as you could have made right there, other than Chad's 86. So just an unfortunate first round loss there, but you know what? I think Jim's trying to get some consistency going here. So hopefully Epping this weekend, we can show we can get up and down the racetrack.
Do you think, what has been 30 runs down, you mentioned, Spencer, what has been the biggest surprise? I mean, considering all the experience you have, you've won big Pro Mod races, you've competed at a high level there, you had plenty of experience behind the wheel of a Top Fuel car, you were even racing at like, you know, some nitty gritty racetracks, doing some match racing and stuff. What was like the biggest surprise that you've seen or faced driving a Nitro Funny Car in those 30 laps?
Probably just how quick you got to get ahead of the thing. Like by the time you realize you're in these cars, like it's hard to explain if you've never drove one, but like from 330 feet to 660, you really can't see a lot. The vibration is so crazy, and it's just, the cones are kind of a blur and the wall is kind of a blur, and you can tell where you are, but it's not clear. So by the time it clears up at 600 feet and you can start to get a grasp of where you are in the center of the racetrack, if you're not in the center, you got to react so quickly, because as soon as you get out of that groove, so say it's driving left and your right tire's got so much more traction now because it's in the good stuff and your left one's in the bad. So you keep putting wheel into it and it's not doing anything. And it's just, so trying to keep the thing in the center, honestly, is the hardest part, which sounds like something would be so easy, but it's just not. It's
well, I mean, and you're going, when you get to the 8th mile that you're talking about, 660 feet or whatever, you're going 300 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So I mean, things are happening fast.
We went 289 the other day and to the 8th. Like it's like the thing's hauling ass down there. So it's just, that's been the toughest part, is to just try and, you got to make small corrections so you don't upset the car, but big enough that you know, you can bring it back to the middle of the racetrack. So like I said, it's just going to take seat time, but every run I'm feeling more and more confident in there, and you know, I'm quite confident we'll be just fine getting into our mid-season form here coming up shortly.
It surely looks like this is a a good match, right? A great fit. We've seen, I mean, this level of success, even when in the top qualifying, I mean, we're not that far removed from absolute, how hard it is just to be qualified in one of these deals. And the thing that you're winning rounds or whatever, I mean, I think you have to feel like you're at least on schedule or slightly ahead of schedule. Is that, I mean, do you feel like, way on the outside looking in, Spencer?
I wouldn't have said that after the first 2 races when we didn't qualify, but I wasn't expecting there to go there and win either. But it just, you know what, I know the car's competitive. I mean, it's shown that the last 2 years they won Norwalk and they won Brainerd in 22 and 23 respectively. So I know the car is fast and can win. The team's great. I mean, these guys turn this car around quicker than I think. Got to be close to any other team there. Like I would put them up against anybody there. They're really, really good. They practice in the shop all the time. It's really impressive. Jim's pretty tough on them. Like he drills it into them. So and they don't make mistakes because you don't get many chances around there. So really it's just come down to me and Jim, and it's we've been missing each other where, the thing will go down the racetrack and I can't quite keep it in the center, or I feel like I'm got a good run going and it smokes the tire down track. So it's just got to get, us both on the same page, and that's just going to come with time. But like I said, to answer your question, yeah, I'd say we're right where we need to be. We're, 14th in points or something. We're only 6 races in. We've got 9 races left before the countdown. I'm pretty confident we'll be right there with everybody come countdown time.
Has it been fun, Spencer? Are you having a good time? I mean, what is the NHRA experience like? Driver introductions and all the things that honestly have are kind of reserved, especially for that Top Fuel Funny Car Pro Stock contingent. I mean, I've met with a lot of racers and talked to a lot of racers over the year that, you get that pro hard card in NHRA and you start to be a part of that community. It's a different experience. And I'm just curious, like, have you enjoyed it? What's it been like? What's your kind of takeaways? I mean, everything you thought it would be and more?
Yeah, I have enjoyed it. It's definitely different than what I'm used to. I mean, I ran mostly PDRA and the Winter Series. So that's a lot of, grassroots racers that are standing around drinking beer after and shooting the shit in each other's pits. And I do miss that side of it. I'm sure that does go on a little bit in the pits there, but I don't have my trailer or my motorhome there, so I'm leaving and going to a hotel but it is fun. Like the driver intro is cool. I mean, they definitely treat the pros like the pros, as they should. But I do miss hanging around and having some beers with the guys and getting a little carried away at night or whatever. But you know what? This is different. It's a new experience. I'm just kind of soaking it all in.
It's time for you to grow up, Spencer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You too, Jake. Yeah. Having Courtney there has been great because she's, been around there for so long. She knows all the ins and outs and she knows everybody. And so she's been kind of showing me the ropes, and I've actually got Elon Warner on board too. So he's been helping me out a bunch, doing some PR stuff and introducing me to the right people and that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's been great. But I'm excited to get back to the Winter Series and get back to where I came from and have the best of both worlds, I guess.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I wanted to hear. That's always my fear. And it's funny because I actually had a conversation yesterday with like a very well-known Top Fuel driver who is like very much considering walking away from fuel racing to pursue pro modified racing, which historically would be almost absurd, right? Like to even say those words out loud would be crazy. But we're at a point in time where like, I love to hear that. Like, I want you to have all the fun and have the best possible experience you can in NHRA Nitro racing. But I'm glad that it's not, like what you do in Pro Mod hasn't paled in comparison or anything like that, because you could be. I mean, it could be the case where you're like, hey man, I ain't ever getting in another car with doors ever again. Screw that. I'm on to the next thing. And I'm so grateful that that's not the case, man. What has been the business of this? I mean, we all know that these things run on money. That's kind of like an ongoing conversation. We just talked for a half hour with Brian Bossone and Bruno Massel talking about the way television world is changing like rapidly, evolving very rapidly. And I think the motorsports world is changing rapidly. The way things are done, the way that sponsors receive value, the things that they find value in, it's a lot different than it was, 10, 20 years ago, or even probably 5 years ago. What has been the business kind of side of this looked like? I mean, do you feel like there's opportunity because of the exposure you get on Fox and the television stuff? Or, I've talked to team owners before that, found that kind of fell on deaf ears. So where are you at in this process?
Yeah, I would probably say there's some truth in that. It does fall a little bit on deaf ears, unfortunately. Our Fox show, and I'm not trying to cut anybody up here because, I do watch it when I can, but our Fox show is not the best. It's hard to watch. It's sometimes confusing. I feel like there could be lots of things that are done better, but it is what it is. And I know that NHRA is working on that, with Fox, and they've hired a consultant to try and make it better. I thought it would be easier to find money for this deal. I mean, fortunately, Jim is going racing no matter what. But he brought me on board to be a partner, and he said, try and raise whatever you can and bring it here to make things easier for both of us. And I've put out a ton of feelers and sponsorship marketing decks and packages and, sent emails and phone calls to the cows come home, and with not a ton of response. And it's been difficult. I'll be the first to admit it's been harder than I thought it was going to be. And the flip side of that is, I don't spend as much time on it as I could because I still come back here every week and work at the construction business. So, and that's priority one. I mean, that's really the only reason I can do what we're doing is because of this. So, I don't know. It's been tough, and I'd like to say it's going well, but it's not. So, at this point, we're actively looking for marketing partners. Like I said, fortunately, Jim's there and he's going racing regardless. And, hopefully he'll keep me in the seat.
Good partners to have, brother. Those are good partners to have. But I do think it kind of, I look at our sport right now and I see people that it seems like the guys that have, guys and gals that have these big sponsorship relationships or whatever, it really isn't determined on what class they're racing in or whether or not they're on TV. Like there's a lot of different ways for these brands to kind of find value. And it's tough because I think we're going to see our sport continue to change rapidly, because I think what corporate America wants in this day and age maybe isn't what we're selling. You know what I mean? Like I heard a really great story. Mike's going to roll his eyes at me because he knows the story I'm about to tell. But it's like, we know what they need, but we've got to sell them what they want. And I think like right now we're trying to sell them, hey, you're going to get X amount of tickets to the races. You're going to get, your logo on the car. We're going to brand the truck and trailer. And it's like, well, maybe that is what they need. They need that consistent presence. They need this whole cohesive brand and activation, but that's not like the hot thing right now. What they want to buy is influencer takeovers and, social media shout outs and this type of and content, like a lot of these brands that we deal with, at least part of the reason they sponsor the Winter Series is because they want to be able to go down there and capture content that they can post on their social, because it's a fun way to do it. Right. And it seems like there's a lot of walls built within the NHRA and like, this is what we do. You got to find a way to fit in with our program. And I think we are going to see that have to change, to be honest.
I totally agree. I actually met with a company today that we work with through our construction company. So a bit of a B2B deal, and they're probably going to help me out. And, I said, what do you want? Like, we'll give you some marketing stuff and wrap the car and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, honestly, we don't really want that stuff. He goes, we want a sticker on there, but we want content and stuff that we can, push on our email blast for our product, and something to catch someone's eye, like a, Nitro Funny Car with header flames is going to be like, oh, what's that?
Yeah, so, what are they doing?
But yeah, you kind of got to go with what they want. And again, like I don't have a standard boilerplate thing of what we can offer, because a lot of times what you're presenting is not what they want. So you just got to kind of let them tell you what they want and hopefully make a deal around it. So.
Right. I mean, it's like the classic sales training thing, literally it's like ask them what they want and then give them that. Right. Exactly. I mean, but a lot of people lead into these deals. I mean, I see it a lot of times, and we've actually gotten away from like real standardized marketing decks because it's a bad thing. But most of this shit is not one size fits all. Most of it is a custom order deal. And so we've had to, like everybody kind of is going to find their value in different ways. Like some people just want to be exposed to this big audience we have. Some people want B2B stuff. They want access to racers. Like how many racers' names and email addresses and phone numbers can you give us? That type of thing. So everybody's kind of determining what the value is differently. And it's hard to just, hey, we're going to wrap the car and that's the deal, right? I think we're going to have to find ways to kind of evolve this whole thing. And some of it's going to be NHRA and Fox letting go, and they've done better like the last few years. And I think Courtney Enders and a lot of the people at Flow and a lot of the independent kind of content creator types have driven the bus on this, where it's like, hey, you can't, it's 2025. If you think the only place people are going to see this is on Fox, you're crazy, right? And you're probably doing more harm than good by running people off and telling people where they can shoot video and what they can film and what they can't. I mean, this is access is expected at this point in time. You know what I mean? People expect to be able to go to these deals and by and large shoot whatever video or photo they want. They've got a high definition camera in their pocket.
I totally agree. It's definitely been a learning experience on that side of it for sure. Like we had a video guy come out 2 weeks ago. I forget where we were. Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte. And like he couldn't post anything. And he was like, man, I can just give you the footage and you can post it now for your team, but I can't post anything till after the event. And, he was a little bit disappointed in it. And I think maybe got turned off a bit. And it's like, man, we need those people out there because they're talented people and they can provide a lot of good content, but they've got their hands tied. So
it's tough, man. And they all have their own audiences. I mean, that's why, I think that I look at events that have been really successful in recent months, and it's like the King of the South shootout that took place this past weekend at Shadyside, streetcar bragging rights that took place a couple of weeks ago at Rockingham. Those are like super media friendly events. And it's no wonder to me that they get tons of content posted on YouTube, tons of content posted on social media, because those are two promoters that like understand the value the media provides. And don't get me wrong, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, there's two sides to that coin. There's plenty of the media types that are huge pains in the ass and cause more problems than anything else. But you know what? That exists in every walk of life, right? Anyways, it's very... What is that?
That looks like Ken Cartuccio or Lyle Barnett.
Ken Cartuccio or Lyle Barnett. JT, what is going on? Are you doing?
I'm sorry, I was uploading it and I didn't know it was just going to pop up like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, thanks, man. I was wondering what was going on. I was like, holy shit! Now we're going to talk about radial tire cars. Switching into radials. All right. Well, hey, so you're headed into Epping. Have you been to Epping before?
I've not. I've heard it's quite a spot. A little old school.
Quite the spot. Yeah, I've actually not been there either. But Mike's raced there a bunch with his dad in the IHRA glory days. He's got a great story that he was actually telling this morning about meeting Brian Loans there 100 years ago. But it's a place that I think drag racing really works well at, right? It's a smaller track. It's going to be packed to the gills. I think you're going to feel right at home. It's going to feel awful. A Northeast version of Bradenton is kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I know last year they sung the Canadian national anthem before the race, which was pretty cool. That doesn't happen very often. So looking forward. It's probably, other than Norwalk, the closest one to Canada. So I think we get a lot of our East Coast guys come down and watch that. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to eating some lobster.
Oh yeah, man. And now apparently if you like, they're going to have like a lobster challenge or a reward of some sort. So I can't wait to hear more about the claw-a-thon or whatever they're calling it. I'm excited to hear about it.
Quick funny story about Jim Head. Jim loves lobster and seafood. And so I got the text from NHRA today. And if you qualify number 1, you get a lobster dinner for 12 or something for top fuel teams. So I sent it to him and I said, here's some incentive to qualify number 1. I know you love your lobster. And he responds, in 1996, it was $4,000 to qualify number 1. I said, well, don't shoot the messenger.
Don't shoot the messenger. Oh, that is too funny. In 1996, it was $4,000. I don't know how much, this day and age, Mike, I don't even know how much lobster you can buy with $4,000. You'd probably need more than that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And we'd have to adjust for inflation. We were talking about that this morning. I mean, kudos to NHRA. I think they're trying to like tie in like the regional flair or whatever, and they're having apparently a chair made of lobster pots,
something like
that you sit in. kind of like the
saddle in
the
Texas.
Saddle, yeah, in Texas. I'm not going to knock it.
Give you 80 grand in Texas.
Well, I'm not going to knock it too much, but we were joking this morning and said it's like the Pawn Stars meme, and it's like the guy like NHRA racers are looking at him going, "Hey, we need increased purse money," and he looks back at him going, "Best I can do is a lobster pot, chair, and a dinner shipped to you in a few months."
It's so funny, but I think that these events that have local flair stand out. I mean, I really do. I think about
I'm definitely not throwing shade for those efforts.
I think they're trying.
They're trying. You got Norwalk. Norwalk's got the ice cream scoop. Yeah. Like the more we have those specific things, I think the better. But it's kind of the situation where there's a lot of other issues that we'd like addressed first, but we'll get there eventually. Maybe they'll throw a pizza party for you next.
There you go.
In Chicago, they should have done like a deep dish Chicago thing, and you could have sat in a big pizza box, crisscross applesauce, because you can't say Indian style anymore. And so sit there and you just sit in the box, and they've got like that corrugated white, like the wavy paper, you know what I mean? So it does it'd be awesome. Hey man, I may have just cooked up an idea. We need to call
like pizza party. I'm talking about like how there's another meme. I guess I'm big on memes today, where it's like, company, we had record profits, and then they're like, here's a pizza party for the employees. Kind of like, appreciate it. Look a gift horse in the mouth, I guess.
Activation point. I was trying to create something. Okay. Sell something to. We got Mission Foods in here selling tortilla chips. Now we got to get a pizza brand, right?
Dude, the Mission Foods activation is on point. My kids literally are completely brand aware of Mission Foods at this point, and they love going to the race, and all they want is a beeline to the Mission tent and get as many bags of tortilla chips as they can carry. And then we have them stashed in the pantry at home, and they eat them like, oh, I want the Mission chips, and they're shaped like, pro stock motorcycles or something. I mean, you can't beat that.
Yeah, you go into everybody's trailer in the pits, and there's just Mission chips everywhere. It's I got to give it to them. They're doing a very good job.
And thank God for them, because drag racing has long since needed like a partner like that was going to take the brand from the track and bring it into stores and gas stations and everything else. And it felt like we had that for a little while with like Coke and Mellow Yellow, but it just never was what I think it could have been or should have been. And I got to give a lot of kudos to the guys at Mission Foods for all they do. But Spencer, we got to wrap up, brother. We're looking forward to seeing you keep this going, man, and what happens next in your funny car career. But I would be remiss to say that we can't wait to see you back in Bradenton behind the wheel of Jack and the Greenstock.
We'll be there.
All right, brother. Stay out of trouble. We'll see you soon.
Right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Spencer. All right, boys. We are headed towards the finish line, and we have a couple of the guests that everybody was excited to talk to. JT, where are we at on Larry?
Yeah, he's coming.
Okay. Well, hey, let's give it up for 2/3 of the whole gang that we're about to have on here for a wide-ranging conversation about all-time 28, all things 28, 10-5 racing. Corey Stamper, Spooled Media Zone, Lyle Barnett, finalist this past weekend, longtime friends here at Drag Illustrated. We'll be.
I think I might be froze.
No, I think you're unfroze. Are you froze?
I think I might be.
You're good. I mean, it's a good look, good background.
Oh, there
yeah,
you go.
I'm smiling at least.
There you go.
I'll blame that one on
chain on and everything. Man.
Did you get the chain from Poland or something? That looks like.
No, I had another chain on at the race, and Larry ended up with it. So I had to get a new one. So
somebody's testing.
Yeah, I'm at
definitely on Lyle's
end. I'll mute myself for a second.
Oh, you're good.
Lyle's never done our show without being at a track. It's 100% chance that he's going to be in a toter home and somebody's making rips like right outside the window.
He's the traveling driver, y'all. I mean, like that's what he does.
He's like the last American hero.
He probably thought he had a weekend. He probably thought he had a weekend off since he was only in 2 classes.
Probably
right.
Well, Corey, real quick, I just appreciate you coming on here, and I want to give you some kudos.
Problem,
I talked about earlier in the show just the overwhelming success of the Ronnie Buff Memorial King of the South shootout at Shadyside Dragway this past weekend. Obviously, crowned Larry Larson as the winner. What a final round of just an absolute badass drag race, and I just think that we talked earlier in the show about how I feel like this is the results of somebody doing something for all the right reasons. I know that sounds like kind of corny or whatever, or cliche perhaps, but I really believe there's some truth in it, is that this was a real coming together. It was a coming together of like the radial tire contingent and the small tire no prep contingent coming to one place on kind of like an equal, no home court advantage really for anybody, right? This was just a great track, honky-tonk racetrack in the heart of drag racing country. You took on the invitational format, paid good money, and the racing gods rewarded you.
Yeah, and I wanted to say, and I'm gonna jump off here if we got Larry, but before I do, it's also the payoff of a lot of hard work from Corey for a long time, grinding, staying at it, just kind of working his way up, and getting to this point. So I think you deserve kudos for that as well. I mean, it was a hell of an event, obviously, but it didn't just come out of nowhere. This is something you've been working toward for a long time. So it's staying the course is, I guess, the moral of the story with Corey as well.
I appreciate it, man. And like I said, I tell everybody it's definitely a huge team effort between Seth, Zach, and I, and the whole Shadyside staff, their dad, Lenny. Without those guys, none of it's possible anyways to begin with. They brought me along, and last year when we did it for $50,000, when Seth mentioned it to me, he had this idea. I kind of gave him the look like, dude, you're crazy. And he's like, dude, we can build this, we can make it happen. He says, I know we can make it happen. So they brought the idea in, they threw it to me on my part, and I was like, all right, I'll get some racers. And we had a good race last year, and we knew we had to step the game up. You can't, you're only as good as your last race. And, Seth said 75,000 this time. Let's see what we can do. Let's get the baddest of the baddest. Get on the phone, get your list made up, get everything. And, I don't think I could have put together a better 64 car list. It was probably the most insane racing action ever. I mean, the final alone, there's not a roof on this tower. There's not a roof anymore on the tower of Shadyside, because me and Seth and Zach were all up there, and when Lyle and Larry went through that top end, dude, it blew off for us. That was the coolest thing ever. I don't think I've seen.
Let's get Larry on here
in a while.
I'm going to jump off. We got Larry on here. Finally, we'll bring both the finalists on from the event.
What's up, Larry? Larson, welcome to the show. Is this the first time you've been on here? No way. I think it might be. It's incredible. I've known Larry for 20 years, and here he is on the show finally after winning. And there's so much to talk about with this stuff. First and foremost, let's just talk about that final round. What a drag race. I don't know that. We obviously knew there was going to be a lot of good cars there. Larry, as a relative newcomer to this style of drag racing, and Lyle is someone who's been in this world for quite a while. I'm just curious, overall takeaways. You had every big name hitter in the country there. Look at this. Jeez Louise, that's a close drag race. 4,000s at the stripe. What did you make of just the level of competition? Larry, I'll go to you first.
Well, I knew going in. When I saw the list, here we go to back up to Corey. I wasn't on the list originally, and it's funny because I hadn't even thought about going, and then I just was looking at doing that 100,000 race in a month, and started looking at that, and then I thought, oh man, it'd be really cool to get into that. And I looked, and it's clear full, and so got on the waiting list, and ended up, got in. But I saw the list, knew who was going, and I thought, I just want to go and see if I can see how I stack up, or if I can learn something, whatever. But I never thought this would happen.
Lyle, what did you make of it? That scene as well as any. Mitchell, the Isaac, Preston. All these cars that have followings, right? Yeah. And all these guys. What do you make? You're fine. Talk over it.
I don't own a car, right, that is capable of running and competing at that race. Beer Money, while she is a beaut, and now a little gangster's front runner, I don't personally own a car, so I'm always begging and pleading with somebody to let me take their car, and Tommy Humans was not necessarily on board when I came to him and said, hey man, let's take the fastest Pro 275 car in the world, completely wreck the setup, put 28s on it, leave in second gear, like all this crazy shit. I think we can go do this thing, you know. And so we go to Shadyside Sunday before the race, which was the last day that Corey was allowing testing at that track. And the first 4 runs, we didn't make it much past a second, you know, and me and Lee White are like, we don't even want to make this phone call. You know, like, we've convinced Tommy to bring his whole operation here. And the 5th run, Lee made a big swing at it, and it worked, and we knew we had something to work with. And after about the 2nd run testing, I knew that we had a car that could win if I could learn how to leave the starting line in it. And we kept pecking away at it throughout the week. And I knew on race day that if the chips fell right, which Larry had probably one of the tougher draws, he had by far the toughest draw between the 2 of us to get to the final. I had a competition buy. Well, I actually had 2 competition buys. Larry McKinney broke in the burnout. And, you know, now the Preston brothers was a good race, but I had an easier road, you know, and Lee White worked hard, and we had a car that was there, you know, and I'll be honest, and Larry knows, I felt like rolling into the final that I had the car to beat. You know, we had ran really good all day. Larry had ran really good as well, but I felt like we had the car to beat, you know, and Larry did exactly what he needed to do, and that was go up there and take a swing and go faster than he had been all week. And it worked, man. You know, we went up there and were comfortable, put a tune-up in it that we knew had been down and was fast before, and we flat got outran, you know. But, you know, Larry said it in his post, you know, you think that Larry Larson's going to roll in there in a 53-foot rig with a transfer truck and have all this help and stuff, you know, and you roll up there to Larry's pit and he's in a dually and a 32-foot trailer, and it's him and a couple of his buddies, you know. And you know, while I'm still, I mean, I walked in here today and they were like, dude, who killed your dog? And I'm like, dude, I'm not over Sunday at all. You know, like, I wanted to win that fucking race so bad. You know, but Larry said it. Anyone else?
The crown is on. The crown is on.
I would not have wanted to, you know, to race anybody else in the final there. It was, I mean, you could, if as a fan, you got exactly what you paid for in the final. Literally decided by less than a bumper. You know, and just a fantastic final for Corey and the Buff brothers who worked so freaking hard. I've been to a lot of podunk backwoods racetracks, dude, and that place was unbelievable on Saturday and Sunday. I almost didn't bring my t-shirts and sold completely out of what I had left. Like, it was freaking unreal, man. I've never seen anything like it ever.
It's when big drag races happen at tracks like that, there is something magical about it that it's really hard to.
Well, I text you on Saturday and I'm like, Wes, I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but what's happening at Shadyside right now is fucking magical.
No, there's no doubt. You can sense it from a long way away. The littlest gangsta, they say. Larry, I'm curious, you know, you were down there racing on 28 10.5 tires. For those that don't understand the nuances of this deal, there's really not any other limiting factors to this particular style of drag racing. I mean, it's cars with doors and 28 10.5s. I'm curious, like, you were racing the same car you were running at the Drag Illustrated Winter Series, at the World Series of Pro Mod. I think that's like a really cool part of this story. We heard Lyle just talk about changing a bunch of setups with the Pro 275 car, leaving in second gear. Can you, I mean, without like spilling the beans or whatever, like, what kind of wholesale changes did you have to make to your Nova to get ready to go run this race?
You know, when I had somebody that I really respect and admire kind of give me the ingredients for this deal. He didn't give me the recipe, just the ingredients, and so then I had to go out and kind of figure it out on my own. And it took 3 hits to get this thing to go initially when I started it. But honestly, when I rolled into Shadyside, I had 16 runs on that tire, so I was still learning what it took and everything else. And we unloaded and went down, and we aborted 2 runs out of 14 we made down there. And those were both runs because I was trying some goofy stuff just trying stuff. But as a whole, honestly, where I ended up at versus where we were at for World Series, Literally, it's a tire, a gear change, and a 4-link change. I mean, as a whole, I can't believe how close it is to what we ran at World Series.
I mean, I'm stunned to hear you say that, to be honest, man. I mean, but it is kind of cool. I mean, I think that's like, we've often pointed to Pro Mod being this opportunity for guys to have multi-purpose race cars, a car that can be raced in a lot of different venues. And I do think that that's a selling point for building, you know, like a double frame rail tube chassis car, is that there's a lot of places to go play.
Yeah. And when I built that car a year ago, you know, I'd never really tried to build a car that was light, and I still wanted to, you know, build it as a steel roof and quarter car to go run MPK or whatever. But I was looking ahead. I thought, you know, I've never run any small tire stuff, but it's getting pretty big everywhere. And I thought if I do this right, I want to make it where the motor height's adjustable, some things like that, and just kind of keep it in the back of my head that maybe I want to do this later. So it really worked out well. The car responded well all weekend, but yeah, to have something that you can, even in Lyle's deal, like the Pro 275 car, just something that you can adapt from one to the other and go do this. It's crazy how that little tire impressed me. I can say that much.
Did me too.
Did you as well, Lyle? Because there's been all this movement towards the radial stuff, and I talked at the beginning of the show how I feel like drag racing is great about finding extremes, right? So we've seen our sport go all the way to super prepped tracks, and we're going to stop after 8 cars and re-prep the track, and we're going to drag it constantly and spray it constantly. Then we went to the other side where, by God, we're going to race on bare concrete. Yep. We're going to wreck every one of these sons of bitches. And it's like, the answer, I think, is like somewhere in the middle, where it's like, I do think that our sport has evolved enough that the no prep racing, I definitely think, has its place, right? For sure. I'm not 100% sold on this bare concrete thing. But I digress. My point is, do you think that the answer, Corey, let's start with you and we'll go around the room. Like, you did really kind of create like something that works for everybody. We can race in the middle of the day. We're not waiting until 2 o'clock in the morning to run the final. So the track cools off. I mean, I think there's some real magic to keeping this pace in your show, being able to run, not spend a bunch of time prepping the track. I mean, do you think that that's kind of like the next thing we're going to see in drag racing, where the super prep tracks kind of become a thing of the past?
I definitely think so. I think, I mean, the payouts are undeniable. I mean, to bolt that 28 on, make the changes, learn how to get down the track. I mean, $75,000. That's not an every weekend payout right there. And, you know, the biggest thing when we concepted this whole race was we didn't know if we wanted to do radial. Well, then when we didn't know if we wanted to do no prep, and, you know, Seth and Zach, they always had King of the South down there, the Outlaw 10.5. And it's like, let's go for this. Let's see what happens. Keep it prep. It ain't overkilled on prep. You got a good track. Everybody on that same tire. Everybody on that 28 10.5. So, and it was an easy crossover in my opinion, because you had the radial guys had to put the slick on. The no prep guys had to learn how to get down the glue. And I mean, everybody's really making the transition now. And I think you're going to see a lot more of these style of races, these bigger payouts on that style of prep, on that tire, are going to be popping up here soon.
Lyle, what do you make of this? You've seen it from, you know, NHRA track prep. You've seen, which I think a lot of people would be surprised by. I mean, like an NHRA track is a world away from a Donald Long racetrack, right? So I'm just curious, like, what's your perspective on kind of like what we're seeing the trend pointing to?
I hope that, similar to what Corey and them did at Shadyside, I hope that's the direction that we're headed. I hope. It was excellent drag racing. You know, like Larry said, he aborted 2 of 14 runs while he was there. With the exception of the 4 runs that I aborted the Sunday prior to getting to Shadyside, I did not abort a run from the 5th run at Shadyside on Sunday through the weekend. We never aborted a run. You don't have to kill your stuff to do it. You know, like, yeah, we put rods and pistons in the car today, but we put almost 20 runs on it, you know, and had we needed to race the same style race this weekend, we probably would have just kept running it. You know, you're not having to kill your stuff. The tire's the limiting factor, and I hope it's the direction we're headed. And there's kind of 2 ways to approach it. And I think the best example of that was in the final. If you go to 400 feet in that run and look at the 2 attitudes of our race cars, Larry's just sat back on the back of it, front end's picked up, and, you know, going down the racetrack. this way, and mine stood up and extended and ran like a radial, and you can do it both ways. You know, so there's several different ways to approach it. You know, you come to one of these radial races, there's one way to do it, and that's give it ass loads of extension in the rear, plow the nose into the ground, and get it down the racetrack, you know. And that's not necessarily the only way to do it here. So I think it's, you know, Shelby Lynn went, God, she was in the quarterfinals, right? You know, and I know that thing's got a Hemi Pro Charger in it, you know, but it's, and I talked to Ryan Tolley there at the top, and it wasn't the fastest car there, but they were just consistent and ran really well. And, you know, it gives the opportunity for some of these lesser funded teams that have got pretty decent stuff, you know, to come in there and be competitive. And I hope that that's the direction we're headed, because I had as much fun. And Tommy Humans, who was super skeptical about us going to do this, said it today. We're at 131 right now for the shakedown, and it's raining, of course. But, you know, he said that's the most fun that we've had at the racetrack in a long time. You know, and it was just hometown feel. That was kind of a hometown race for me. But the small track deal, you know, the outlaw feel, like it was just, dude, it was feel good. And, you know, I hope that as long as Corey and the Buff brothers continue to do it, I will always support it and always be there, no matter who I've got to convince to let me drive their car. But, you know, it was something special, man. I'm super proud of them. Like, when the fire marshal shuts the gate at an outdoor event, you've done something.
100%, man. That's a solid sign of success. Corey, I mean, I'm just curious, man, what do you make of, like, what's it feel like to hear that as somebody that's traveled all over creation, shooting videos of these guys, taking pictures, putting on events, back of the track stuff, doing RC car stuff? I mean, you've, as Mike said, really paid your dues. I mean, to hear a superstar racer like Lyle Barnett, you know, give your event that kind of feedback, it's got to feel good.
I'm still waiting to wake up from the dream. That's pretty much it. It's that surreal. It's like, man, when I made that post yesterday about it, and I still am lost for words. I'm still taking it all in, because it still hadn't set in 100% yet. It's just, you know, I met Larry at 300 foot on his way pushing back to the starting line when he won the finals, and I stopped in and was like, that dude had the biggest grin, and that just it sank into me at that point. I was like, man, it's just something special. I can't even still can't put words to it.
It's hard to beat, man. It's hard to beat. Larry, you've had a lot of success. I'll tell you, I shared earlier in the show that we monitor a lot of different things, track a lot of metrics here at Drag Illustrated, and I was blown away by the social engagements and the web traffic that we were able to generate from this King of the South event. I mean, it's on par or rivals most NHRA races in terms of web traffic and things like that. What has this been like for you? I mean, because this was like a big happening in the sport of drag racing.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100% with everything Lyle said. I hope this is the direction things are going. Once again, I've never run a small tire on anything. Helped a couple of guys in the last 6 months with one, but never run one. I've never even been to a true radio race like one of Duck's. Never had a radio on the car. So this whole thing was new to me. What little I've been around any of the radio stuff, nothing against them, but I go to the racetrack not to go to the tractor races. I go there to go to the races and run the cars. And you're going to have some oil downs like Bill Lutz's stuff and stuff like that. I mean, but the adversity that you guys fought with the lights and everything else on Thursday night, I mean, everybody fought through it. Everybody was patient. And you guys just kept pushing and going, and it worked out flawlessly, in the end. And the racing was good. It kept the spectators involved. You had enough classes with three different gangster classes, in 3 days. It was just, the event was so well put together. And it's rare to see that from some of the small little backwoods tracks like that it's managed so well and taken care of. So the traffic that it got, the people that were there, typical deal. You go run MPK or NHRA or anything else, there's people that travel there from a long ways away, right? But when you see the people that travel a long ways to go to a big race at a little track, man, you're doing something. Because once again, it was cool to see a race like that with that kind of payout, with those kind of cars, with that, everybody, the fastest guys in the country were there. And to have it at a small little track, that's freaking awesome.
I think so too, man. I've said so much, but I'll say it again, man. Some bands sound better in a honky tonk, and drag racing is that band. You know what I mean? It's just like I've been blessed to see this sport. Tracks in the world to honky tonks like Shadyside, and I choose Shadyside every time. I choose a honky tonk every single time because it's where our sport, I think, really shines. We have a Barrett Green in the comments talking about Little Gangsters. Obviously this deal's hot like fire. Lyle, you won on Friday night, the newest or one of the new members of the Little Gangsta championship echelon, I suppose. I mean, what's your guys' overall take on that? I'm really excited about it because I feel like making it cool to have like a low 5-second car. I mean, it feels like historically, like if you follow any of the YouTubers, it's twin turbo Lambos and twin turbo Dodge Viper and 2,000 horsepower this and blah, blah, blah. And then you look at, pro level racing is obviously really terrifying to embark on. But here you have this class that's like one of the hottest things happening in drag racing. And it's a lot of $30,000 cars that are being hauled in on open trailers. I mean, hell, Lyle, you won your car. I mean, I'm just curious. I mean, Lyle, we'll start with you. What do you make of this, making it fashionable to run 530 index, essentially?
I mean, I'm not going to say I was skeptical, but, when Corey and them decided to have Little Gangsters at Shadyside for King of the South, when I begged Biggin to get it done, to get the new rear end and ass end put in the car. And I told Pete, I said, I want to take beer money and run Little Gangsters, and he was like, isn't that a 530 index class? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I know that the car is much faster than that, but we can slow it down enough and go there and do the deal. I think it's going to be fun, and I watched the Little Gangsters class at your race, and I've paid attention to some of what Jimmy Dale and Poland are doing around the country, and I just wanted to go try it, and Barrett Green gave me so much shit about how I celebrated winning the $1,000 on Friday night. But what they're not talking about is there was still 48 cars that raced on Friday night, and I had to run 6 rounds of racing to do it, so it's super competitive. There's guys out there, like you said, granted, I won my car, and it is probably arguably one of the bigger piles of shit you'll ever see at a racetrack. But it's got really good stuff in it, and it's probably more like a $50,000 or $60,000 car if you really break it down and dig into it. But there were guys there in $25,000 and $30,000 cars that were flat mowing the tree down and running dead on the index. I got lucky there too for a couple of rounds, but for the grassroots guy that wants to quote unquote head up race in a no time field, and that deal, you don't even get slips during race day. Like, you have no clue where you're at all. I had 5 runs in Little Gangster trim coming into Shadyside. I think I shook it down twice on Thursday, maybe. So 7 runs total in Little Gangster trim, and went into Friday, and we didn't get nothing, not a time slip. You got to depend on the draggy, and I use a Shannon Davis Technologies profiler and VPS that prints a virtual time slip. And that's all I had, and I managed to go down there and, in the bracket racing terminology dictionary, drive the stripe, pat the gas, and do all the things, drag the brake, what spot somebody, hold a few, what the fuck ever. But I did all the things, and I managed to get by on Friday night. Saturday, I didn't do too well. We went to the semifinals, lost to Jarrett Bradshaw on Saturday, and then Sunday made my way to the final and just flat another bracket racing turn where I took too much stripe. Should have won that one too. But the Little Gangsters deal is, like you said, it's one of the hotter things coming on in drag racing right now. And I think that if Corey continues to have the Little Gangsters class at his race, I argue to say it will have the largest car count of any other class there, possibly next year. There were close to 50 cars both days. I think that was 58 in King of the South. But it would not shock me at all to see 100 cars there to run Little Gangsters in the future, for sure.
I can't argue. Larry, you grew up in the Midwest like me. I'm sure you remember going over to US 36 Raceway in Osborne, Missouri. And, that's a track I kind of cut my teeth at, spent a lot of time at as a young man. And it was like I always looked forward to their index events. They were kind of one of the last tracks in the area that would still do like a pounds per cubic inch or an index type of class. And I've always wondered, like, why can't we get some traction around these index style classes? You know what I mean? Because a lot of guys don't want to slow their car down enough, but now that it's become a cool thing to do, and it's this new challenge of not getting a time slip and all the things that like a sportsman level bracket racers used to getting, it's kind of just reset that style of index racing. And I feel like it's long overdue. I mean, I like seeing cars leave together. And I think most guys that go into drag racing, no matter where you're at in the world, you want to race heads up. You want to leave at the same time on a pro tree. I mean, what do you make of it, Larry? I mean, it feels like something that could really be successful at damn near every track in the country.
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, you've got something that's, 530s is still pretty fast for some of those little cars, but yet it's just like Lyle, you can slow it down. I mean, you can jump in there with about anything and slow it down or speed one up a little bit and be competitive in that. And I think the allure of no time slip, no data on anything other than if you've got a draggy or something in the car. I mean, everybody was all over the no prep deal, right? Where no time, no prep, no whatever. And this deal is real similar, except, you're not putting yourself in quite so much danger with the no prep stuff, but yet it's just the big unknown of what you run, and you've just got to go down there and do it. So it's, once again, affordable for a lot of people to do. And it's cool as hell, I think. I mean, I think it's going to be, in another year from now, I think you'll see double the cars at least of what there are out there now trying to run these events.
I agree. Corey, what was your takeaway from the Little Gangsta experience?
Dude, I love it, man. I've told everybody we have a ton of cars in that area that fit that bill. And, when I had them doing the tech cards and all, and I go over and I check in, all right, how many are we at this? Oh, we're at 25. Okay, then I go back an hour later. How many now? We're at 45. I'm like, what? And just watching it grow and grow and grow. I mean, I think it's really it's the place that your budget guy can race. Anybody can race it. I know we've had a lot of talks like these budget small tire classes around here and this and that. And I've always said, most of the guys are 530 anyways. That Little Gangster's the perfect fit for them. And, I'm always going to try to have it as long as Paul and Jimmy still want to keep having Little Gangsters blown up there. Hey, man, we're good with it. Let's keep having it. Let's keep doing it. And, something we added this year, which is our Baby Gangsters class, which is a stepping stone to stepping up. It's the same rule set, but it's for 630 guys, and we got a ton of those guys. So I really think the index racing, especially on front side stuff, that little bit of prep like that is going to be something huge. And like I said, Little Gangsters, it's a Swiss Army knife class. You can do it on no prep, light prep, all the prep, radial, this. I mean, any of those classes are good. And like I said, as long as those guys like it and stuff, and they keep coming out, because honestly, I had Petey Pablo queued up if we ever had Lyle and Jimmy go up, because we're going to have that North Carolina, throw your shirt up, all that good stuff. So,
oh, I like it. Anybody that's talking about music at the drag strip, is my kind of guy. A good party has good music, man. It's part of it. Now, well, hey guys, I'm happy for you. I think it's an absolutely fantastic thing that's going on in our sport, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Lyle, I guess I'll see you in a couple of days. Are you the radio car? What are we doing?
Yeah, so King Cartuccio's here, and we're standing at the back of the trailer. It's been spitting rain on and off all day today, and we're standing at the back of Tidwell's trailer, and here comes Petty, waddling around the back. Hey, they're spraying. Y'all get the fucking cars to the lane. So Ken turns to me, and he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm just standing here. And he was like, well, get in the red car. Say no more. So I haul my ass over to the rig and get my suit on, and we got up there right before it rained, and apparently we went 351, or I went 351 at 209, and apparently that's the door car track record. I think JT.
Holy shit.
Yep.
351.
And that was, we were like 4th or 5th car down the racetrack all day today. They dried it like 3 times, had to re-prep it every time. And we went out there and went straight down Broadway, went 351. So, but I was just testing that for Ken. But this week I'll drive the Tommy Humans Pro Mod, Pro Boost, whatever this Midwest Drag Racing Series class is called. Rob Kohler, that I drive the LDR car for, bought Justin Wren's RVW car. It is here. I will drive it in RVW. I will drive Tommy's Pro 275 car in Pro 275 salvage title that we had at Shadyside this past weekend, and I will also drive Rob Kohler's LDR car. 2 screw cars and 2 Pro Charger cars. If anybody's got another one, fuck, I'm here. What's 4, 5? What's 4? What's 5? I mean, we're
holy shit, Lyle.
So this week I will have driven 5 cars and probably make, I don't know, 30 or 40 runs, something like that. Be good.
My goodness, that's a lot of drag racing. I don't even know if that sounds terrifying, to be honest.
Nah, man, it's fine. I'm just going for the record books.
Going for the record books. Just imagine what that 351 would have felt like if you were burying the wheelie bars with the front wheels up in the air as God intended.
God almighty.
You know what I mean? How much better would that have felt?
I wouldn't be on this show. I'd be running around naked in that field out there.
Oh my goodness. Well, hey guys,
good image for you.
Congratulations, dude. Super happy for you. Where are you headed next, brother?
I'd like to go test somewhere. I figured out how to go fast down there, but if I'm going to go to the Kentucky race, and that's supposedly off the trailer, no prep. Once again, I don't know what that's going to entail. Is it going to be MPK no prep? Is it going to be sketchy no prep? I'm sure it'll be decent, but I learned enough stuff with the car down low and made it work a little bit better there. I need to go concentrate on that a little bit and slow it down a little bit. Speed it up early and slow it down at the other end. How's that sound?
I was going to say, you don't need to work on the back half, Larry. I watched your back split out my window there. It's pretty good.
It's pretty solid, Lyle.
Pretty solid.
Pretty solid. Lyle, are you guys going to take Tommy's Pro 275 car to the 100,000 to win small race?
Nah, man. I will be on a week-long vacation in the Bahamas with my phone off. So
good for you.
I'll catch all that when I get back.
Good for you, man. They're having a couple of them, so maybe you can go to the next one. Corey, will you go to that event?
No. I'm already booked that weekend doing a live feed at another smaller track. So
that's awesome, man. Well, I'm super happy for you guys, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Ladies and gentlemen, Corey Stamper, Larry Larson, Lyle Barnett, we appreciate you guys.
Yep. Hey, thank you, man.
Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you.
Thank you.
Still mad at you, Larry.
That ain't ending anytime soon.
Tell Lee to speed that thing up a little bit the other end. You've been fine.
Oh, don't worry. Next year's going to be a different story, bud.
And by this time next year, everybody will have a Hartz charger on it. It'll be fine.
Oh boy. Here we go.
I got to get off here before I get fired.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. See y'all.
No problem, bud.
We had a barn burner of a show, guys. It's 2 hours and 11 minutes, man. We're on it here. What is this? Kyle Larson is the best because he's in a car 5. Oh, I get it. I tell you what, man, I think being in a race car a lot really helps these guys. Mike, JT, I don't know if you feel the same, but I can't imagine that having 30 laps in a weekend. I
don't know. It can work against you. Kyle Larson, I think he still thought he was in that Indy car when he was coming around turn 4.
Mike lost a big parlay.
He killed me on a damn parlay. I had the F1 winner who won that deal, Lando Norris, and I had Alex Palou, and I had him. He won Indy, and all I needed was Larson to win Charlotte for a big parlay payoff, and he spins that thing out just by himself in the lead. I mean, there's pros and cons to both. I'm sure Lyle could probably speak to some of that as well. But yeah, I mean, besides running a bunch of different classes, we've said a lot about like the Scotty Cannons of the world, the Ricky Smiths, the guys that concentrate on one discipline that's their livelihood. Todd Tutterow, those are the guys that you see that are most successful. So it's not necessarily about driving a bunch of different classes or whatever. It can be about generating data and collecting data from those different combinations and then applying it. But guys that that's all they do. They're not at work during the week. They're not just going racing as a hobby on the weekend. That's their career. I think that's it used to be. I think you could see more guys do that. There's only a handful of them now, and then we still see those guys at the front. So it certainly pays off.
I hope Lyle's keeping track of all the passes he's made since basically coming to Snowbirds for the season.
And
because
how
it's
many
going to be a shit ton.
cars he's driven in his career, because that is something that no one ever really talks about. But I was talking to somebody the other night, and we were talking about how many different cars guys like Jerry Haas or John DeFlorian, these guys that are like known as the shop test mule, you know, how many different race cars they've driven and how much that impacts their ability. And I mean, Lyle jumping in dozens and dozens of different race cars, I think it's an impressive thing. I really do.
And it seems like there's more of a willingness for guys to allow that to happen. Like for Ken to just go, hey, just jump in the red car over there. Like, I'm just speaking from experience, Wes, you can speak. Is Eddie Buck going to be like, hey, you jump in that car? My dad's certainly not going to say that. Unless you're freaking, you know.
That's a lot of respect, though, between two drivers right there.
It's a lot of respect, but guys are also, I feel like, more willing. They kind of see the benefits of that. Like in that moment, Ken sees the benefit of putting Lyle in that car rather than, you know, if he can't be there or whatever the case may be. Otherwise, that thing, in the old days, that thing is parked until the owner / driver is getting there.
It's so true, man. Times have changed, man. I think that JT and I have gone back and forth about this for years, is that like we need the stakes to be high enough and the competition level to be high enough that an owner is motivated to put a driver in the car.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like JT will argue, like, hey, if I'm paying for it, I'm blowing it up. I'm driving it. I'm getting the thrill.
I see both sides, but if enough money's on the line and you're trying to create a team that's going to be competitive, to win, and you want to win, then you know, then, and I'm not saying that about everybody, but you know, if there's a more talented driver in the wings, you know, I wish that person would have the opportunity.
Me too.
I wish, JT, you've been speaking on this for a long time, wanting to see more situations where people put themselves aside and put the absolute best driver in the seat.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're seeing more of it. I mean, I think about Scott Tidwell. You know, Scott Tidwell is a very accomplished comp eliminator racer. You know what I mean? He can drive a race car, you know, but he's serious enough about winning that he wants to put the best possible driver he can in the car. I think Tommy Humans is another great example. Like he's smart. I mean, he's a very capable driver, but he wants to go and win, and he wants someone that's consistently good on the starting line, and he's got Lyle Barnett driving his car. Richard Freeman would tell you the same thing. I can let off the clutch pedal in a pro stock car and grab gears. I can drive one. I just can't drive one near as well as Erica Enders as consistently as she does it. And I think that that's a cool thing, because that's someone who maybe doesn't have like the personal financial means to make all of this a reality, but they have the natural God-given talent and have put in the time that they're a difference maker. And it's a good thing that our sport, and a lot of that's driven by purses and pomp and circumstance and prestige and buzz on the internet and social media. All those things kind of drive that. I mean, you want to win, you know? I mean, it's a tough thing to balance, like the hobby that Mike's identifying that this is for a lot of people, with like, hey, we want to go out there and be competitive, and we want to race, and we want to go in with a chance to win.
Yeah, Lyle Trickle.
I don't mind it, man. I don't mind it. Well, hey guys, thank you so much for shooting the shit with us for a couple of hours on a Wednesday afternoon, helping us spread the gospel of drag racing. We appreciate each and every one of you and everybody, all of our guests today. Thanks for the patience, and thanks for being a part of the conversation. We appreciate you guys very much, and we will see you next Wednesday right here on the Drag Illustrated YouTube channel, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tell your friends. We'll talk soon.
Later.
See y'all next week.